Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of a live race commentary stream for you guys live on KRC. We bring you the NASCAR Xfinity Series Alsco Uniforms 300 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The third race of the NASCAR Xfinity Series schedule in 2023. We've had two different winners in the first two races of the year, with Austin Hill winning the season opener at Daytona, followed by last week John Hunter Nemechek getting his first win with Joe Gibbs Racing this season in the number 20 car, which he is chasing for the championship as well. So two drivers locked into the playoffs, still 10 spots open in the next 24 races, and we'll see if another new winner will appear today. There's some Cup Series regulars mixed in as well, just like last week. It was an Xfinity Series regular, though, that was able to top everybody at the end of the day. We'll see if that'll be the same for this one. Appreciate everybody tuning in here. This is our second live commentary stream of the week, of course, coming off the heels of last night's NASCAR truck race at Las Vegas, where Kyle Busch had dominated, led over half the race, led the most laps, obviously, with that, and got the victory at the end of the day. He is in this race, but he will be starting at the tail end of the field versus in last night's truck race, he started on the pole. So he's going to have to get the job done for Chevrolet from the tail end of the field, and it will be his first start for Colleague Racing in the number 10 car in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Remember, Busch did not run any Xfinity races last year, retired after his final of 5 wins in 2021, calling it quits once he hit 100. He hit 100 in the third race of the year, got to 102, called it quits for a year, and now he's back with Chevrolet. They've reeled him into the series he has dominated for decades, and will try to continue to dominate here throughout the rest of the 2020s for the handful of races he is able to run on a yearly basis. Appreciate everybody tuning in today. Patrick Shadley, NASCAR Cup Series 2311 Racing. Kenneth Clark, Billy Kramer, T. Van, Caden Spears, and others, welcome into the stream. Be sure to hit the like button. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We're about to get into today's race. They have not given the command yet. They are going to do that here momentarily. I'll let you guys listen into that. Then we'll go through the starting lineup for today's action in this 300-mile, 200-lap race around this 1.5-mile tri-oval. Patty and Rumdy Creations also welcome into the stream. Ryan Blaney, Kevin Harvick in the booth with Adam Alexander for the NASCAR Xfinity Series broadcast. The race is on Fox Sports 1 for those of you wondering. And of course, myself doing the commentary here on the channel as usual for today. Can't wait to get this thing underway. We had a pretty good NASCAR truck race last night. A lot of wild restarts, especially in the first half of that race. Kyle Busch kind of set sail in the final 50 laps or so and really dominated the second half. Who do I think is going to win? Personally, I think Justin Allgaier. You know, honestly, you took my pick. I have Justin Allgaier winning today's race. I just think with Kyle Busch starting at the tail end of the field, this is a new team he's raced for in the Xfinity Series that he's never raced for before. I don't think he's going to win today. I definitely think he's going to be a contender. He was a favorite, of course, for Vegas. He was also the favorite in the community tab vote that I asked you guys earlier today, and that we do every single race day for all three series for who we expect to potentially win today's race. And he, hands down, was the favorite, just like last night in the Truck Series. You guys were able to predict him to win. We'll see if he'll win today as well.
NASCAR Xfinity Series. For the first time in a couple of years, we know how good he is. What does he bring to the table today?
Well, I think that the biggest thing that Kyle brings to the table is experience, and he's not going to be shy about telling you that your car isn't good or if it is good. So Kyle Busch will give you great feedback.
He's the all-time wins leader. Can he get it done today? We'll find out shortly. Now let's get the command.
And now, race fans, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome Senior Vice President of Marketing and Communications for Richard Childress Racing, Jennifer White.
On behalf of Alsco and Richard Childress Racing, drivers, start your engines!
Getting ready for this one, Fox will head to a commercial break. When they come back, they will run through their version of the starting lineup, and then they will also queue up one of the drivers on the radio. You guys will get to listen into that parade lap interview, and then we'll get this race underway. Starting today on the pole will be Chandler Smith in the 16th for Colleague Racing, his rookie year in the Xfinity Series. His teammate, obviously, Kyle Busch, coming in from the rear of the field for the start of today's race. This is the third straight race at Las Vegas where the 16 car has sat on the pole in the Xfinity Series. AJ Allmendinger swept the pole in both races a year ago. Justin Allgaier, who was my pick to win today's race, will be starting on the outside of the front row in second. Cole Custer, Brett Moffitt will line up in row 2. Cole Custer has to drop to the rear of the field at the start of today's race. They are basing the rules for this weekend off of kind of similar to how they did with Pocono with the doubleheader event, because a lot of the teams are using their same cars from last week into this week. Because Cole Custer had crashed in last week's race, even though he qualified third, he will be starting at the rear of the field, as will a handful of other drivers. Starting to row 3 today will be Josh Berry and Parker Kligerman. Berry will also be starting at the rear of the field and also be taking over for Chase Elliott in the NASCAR Cup Series tomorrow, after Elliott had a fracture in his tibia in a snowboarding accident in Colorado yesterday, so he will not be racing for the Cup Series this weekend, and Berry will take over for him in the meantime. John Hunter Nemechek and Daniel Hemrick will line up in row 4. Daniel Hemrick nursing an injury himself for the third consecutive week to start the season. Off to not as strong of a start as his teammate Chandler Smith, looking to pick the pace up today and try to nab a top 10 finish. And Nemechek, of course, a winner a week ago at Auto Club. Austin Hill and Riley Herbst will be in row number 5. Austin Hill won the season opener at Daytona, so he's trying to go for win 2 in the early going of the year and try to get his first win on a non-super speedway in the Xfinity Series as well. Kyle Busch and Sheldon Creed will be at the rear of the field, but they qualified for row 6 today, again because of crashes to their respective cars last week. They will happen to be dropped to the rear of the field. Austin Dillon was in the 10 car for Colleague Racing last weekend. Had a big hole in his right front fender at the end of the race, so they had to go to a backup car there. Remember, Sheldon Creed backed it into the inside wall middle of the race. Was able to come back, actually get to the front, lead laps at one point in time, but still had enough damage to where they didn't want to start the race off like that this weekend, so he is also in a backup car. Sam Mayer and Sammy Smith will line up in row number 7. Tyler Reddick and Raja Karuth in row number 8. Reddick making his second straight start in that, I almost said Hunt Brothers. Hunt Brothers car. Is not Sam Hunt Racing in the 24 car, not Hunt Brothers. But Sam Hunt Racing, 24 car, second straight week for Reddick. He did not qualify in the NASCAR Cup Series qualifications for tomorrow's race at Las Vegas earlier today, as he had to change an engine during practice, his team, so he ended up on the spotter stand. No laps in that race car this weekend. A rough start for Reddick in the Cup Series, and did not have so hot of a finish last week either. I think he also will be dropping to the rear of the field, because I remember he got in a crash last weekend as well. Not 100% sure on that, but I would assume that would be a backup car as well. Joe Graff Jr. making his second straight start for Joe Gibbs Racing. He'll be on the inside of row number 9. Ryan Sieg to his outside. Brandon Jones, Parker Retzlaff will be in row 10. Jones not qualifying quite as well as some of his JRM teammates this weekend. He too is off to a rough start, trying to get that first top 10 of the season. Kaz Grala, Ryan Sieg will line up in row number 11. Row 12 will be Anthony Alfredo, Jeb Burton, Jeremy Clements, Kyle Weatherman in row 13. Row 14 will be Josh Williams, Garrett Smithley, Bailey Curry, and Blaine Perkins in row 15. Row 16 will be Josh Balicki and Alex LeBay. Row 17 will be Brennan Poole, Greg Galding, Jeffrey Earnhardt, Ryan Ellis in row 18. And row 19, rounding out the field today, will be Joe Gase and Patrick Emerly. Gonna queue up the 16 driver of the number 16 car, Chandler Smith. Here he is.
Start today. He is starting on the pole for the very first time. You know, 21 is kind of a threshold for fun in Las Vegas. How about the drivers under 21? You have Chandler, you have Parker Retzlaff, the teenager. Sam Mayer, who's coming off a great finish last Sunday evening in Fontana, California. And the 18-year-old Sammy Smith. Yeah, he was good last week as well. Led 14 laps and starts 14th today. Let's go from the driver's seat.
Yeah. Hey,
Queuing up Sammy Smith instead, rather.
Yeah, I got you guys.
All right, well, you put on a great show last week in Fontana. Looked really, really fast for your first time being there. What are you thinking on today? How do you think the wings are going to play, and what do you think your car has in it for some speed?
Yeah, we definitely didn't qualify where we wanted to, but we have a fast Flying J Toyota GR Super, and hopefully it's as fast as Xfinity 10G, and we'll go our way forward.
All right, sounds good. Well, have fun out there, and good luck.
Thanks, guys.
First time he's ever been to this racetrack.
Man, a few words. Sammy Smith, rookie season, had an impressive performance last week at Auto Club before getting in a wreck in the final stage of that race. Led some laps at one point, qualified pretty well also. Mentioned that community tab post I ended up putting out on the channel earlier today. I asked you guys who you thought was going to win. 70% of 84 votes said Kyle Busch was going to win today's race from the rear of the field. 13% said Josh Berry. Remember, he's won 2 of the last 3 Xfinity races here at Las Vegas, both in the fall, in fact. 7% said Justin Allgaier. He is my pick to win today's race. It's second, according to Vegas. Cole Custer, 6% of the votes, and then 4% of the votes said other. Some of the picks for other, we got a Sheldon Creed pick and a Sam Mayer pick, notably in the comments section there. So appreciate everybody voting in the poll. You can vote for tomorrow's NASCAR Cup Series race. Tomorrow morning, I'll have that poll up on the channel as well in the community tab, and we'll place what your guys' votes are as well. David Owens, Terry Lewis, Jim Troyer, Mark Witkowski, Dennis Richards, and others, welcome into the stream. Ice Teammate King 92 Hammer, see you in the chat also. Got just over 50 people watching already in the early going of today's live stream. And currently we are at just 16 likes, so be sure to hit that like button if you haven't done so already. And subscribe for more daily NASCAR content.
Well, Adam, as you saw, Kyle Busch got that win here in the Truck Series at his home track last night. Felt great about his truck going into that race. Wish you could say he felt as high on his number 10 Chevy heading into this race. They had some issues in practice yesterday. Said he fired up just way too free, then a tire went down. He said they're going to be working on this car all race long to get it exactly where they need it to be. He's also going to have to start from the back of the field, but if anybody can make their way to the front, it is Kyle Busch, who's riding a 5-race win streak in the Xfinity Series and has a couple wins here in Vegas. Regan?
Well, Josh, it's been a fast start to the season for John Hunter Nemechek. Second in Daytona, and of course our winner last week in California. Fast forward to Las Vegas, qualified 7th yesterday, but sprinkle in just a little bit of Las Vegas luck. That's what you want when you come here, right? He will actually move up and start 3rd today. 2 of the cars in front of him going to the rear because they are backup cars. John Hunter said the car is fast. They missed it just a little bit in qualifying, but he feels very good about where they're at with this race car, and this season in particular, look for him to improve on a career best second place finish in Las Vegas from 2019.
Yeah, let's look at those drivers, Regan, that are dropping to the rear. They basically treated last week's race in Fontana, and the race here today is a doubleheader. And so if you had to...
Yeah, so quite a few cars dropping to the rear. Mentioned a couple of them already, but I'll go through the full list quickly. Cole Custer, Greg Gaulding, Sheldon Creed, Brennan Poole, Josh Berry, Brandon Jones, Kyle Busch, Alex LeBay, Patrick Emerly, who is already at the back, Garrett Smithley, and Ryan Ellis will all be the drivers who have to start at the rear end of the field for today's race. Not all of them because of backup cars, some of them because of unmodified adjustments post-qualifying into the race today from yesterday's qualifying and practice sessions. 59 to 61 laps will be the pit fuel window. Pit road speed 45 miles per hour. The first 2 stages will each be 45 laps in length, and the final stage will be 110 laps in length. Making up all 200 laps and 300 miles for today's race. No rain in the forecast. We'll get all 200 laps in, no problem, both today and then all 267 in tomorrow as well. A beautiful weekend at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway after rain has somewhat plagued the first 2 weekends of the year, with the Truck Series being rain shortened at Daytona a couple weeks ago, and then last week having the Xfinity race moved to a Sunday night. All practice and qualifying, of course, was rained out for both the Xfinity and Cup Series last weekend at Auto Club as well. I tried to enlarge the screen a little bit more. I don't want to enlarge it any more than that, though. And the main reason is just so that way you guys can see more of the actual leaderboard itself. Thanks for everybody tuning in, though. They'll be going green this time by. Control car will elect the outside lane for the start. That will be Chandler Smith, who qualified on the pole. So Allgaier will be on the inside of the front row. That's interesting because in the Truck Series race last night, the control truck in that race typically picked the bottom lane. It was working out for him fairly well, so it'll be interesting to see what Chandler Smith will be able to do on the outside. Of course, this is an afternoon race. The only night race of the weekend was the Truck Series last night. Probably going to be a bit slicker of a racetrack today. Through the Geico restart zone, the green flag is in the air, and the third Xfinity race of the 2023 season is underway. Already fanning out to 3 wide going into the first turn. No surprise there. Saw a lot of that last night. It's Austin Hill in the 21 trying to make a move to the inside of John Hunter Nemechek and Parker Kligerman on the outside in the 48. Outside lane does prevail off the start as the 16 car of Chandler Smith was well clear off the exit of turn 2. Tight hole for John Hunter Nemechek in turns 3 and 4 as he's still 3 wide middle. Now the 21 car of Austin Hill has cleared both the 20 and the 48. A little crisscross through the tri-ovals. Now Nemechek dive bombs underneath the 21. Side by side for second, the whole opening lap of the race between the 25 of Brett Moffitt and the 7 of Justin Allgaier. Allgaier on the inside down to the white line through turns 1 and 2. And on the outside lane up near the wall was the 25 of Moffitt. A lot of side drafting going on in the backstretch, specifically from the 7 on the 25, and a huge launch and a slide job maneuver now through turns 3 and 4 that allows Allgaier to pull clear off the exit of turn 4. He is now in P2 all on his own. Parker Kligerman getting by John Hunter Nemechek as well as Daniel Hemrick, and now Riley Herbst going for it as well on the front stretch. Kyle Busch, who started at the tail end of the field, already up to 23rd, making a bunch of 3 wide passes in the opening laps of the race. Got trouble already. Caution is out. Spinner in turns 1 and 2. Parker Kligerman in the 48 is around. And everybody gets through on the outside unscathed. Tough break for Kligerman, already up to 5th in the opening laps of the race after a good qualifying effort yesterday afternoon. But a spin on lap 3 in turns 1 and 2 today, bringing out our first caution of the race. Ben GT, Christopher Johansson, Regine Huddleston, also welcome into the stream. Missed the replay, sorry about that. I was looking at the chat. Hopefully I show another replay of it so I could see specifically what might have happened here. And it sounds like they're going to... Oh, no, they might show it one more time. It just looked like he got loose, honestly. He may have had contact from behind. John Hunter Nemechek in the 20 was the car behind him, but it was hard to tell from the angle that they showed if there was contact. But Kligerman goes for a spin. Didn't look like there was much damage on his car. Could have very well had the air taken off the rear spoiler of the race car, or maybe Nemechek was so close to the left rear that it just took the air off the back of the race car and sent him around. A lot of bumps on the inside lane at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Trucks were moving around quite a bit in last night's race. I would imagine that will likely be the same for today's race as well. All throughout this weekend, and maybe the rest of time for Las Vegas. Park it, Kligerman. Yeah, he's had his fair share of troubles and run-ins over these first few weeks of the season. Definitely being aggressive on a weekly basis. Tyler Reddick has already cracked the top 10, up to 9th. I don't think he was on that list of drivers that started at the rear of the field, though, so with everybody in front of him that had to go to the back, he probably had a little bit better of a starting position than where he qualified, which was 17th, if I remember correctly, but he's up to 9th. And obviously Kligerman, who just spun, going to have to put a set of tires on. Remember, these sets of tires are limited a lot more in the Truck into the Xfinity Series compared to the Cup Series, with them being shorter races, and just the funding that goes into the series a lot less than in the Cup Series as well. So it's one of the cost-saving measures that NASCAR has mandated for these teams over the last handful of years. So already having to put a set of tires on that car because of the spin is not a good start for Parker Kligerman, just a few laps in. So he may be going off strategy during the end of either Stage 1 or Stage 2 at some point today. Or just hoping that we don't get too many more cautions, that won't come into a bad play for him. It's going to be tough for him to get through the field, though, even though he doesn't have a lot of damage, just because field only has a couple laps on their tires. That caution coming out on lap 3. Gonna see tire fall off here at Las Vegas, but it's not going to be as much as Auto Club. Honestly, most tracks we'll go to this season won't be as bad as what Auto Club was last weekend. This surface, about 10 years newer than the Auto Club Speedway surface. This track was repaved back in 2007, repaved and reconfigured. We watched an old race at Flat Las Vegas on Thursday on the channel. We watched the 1998 Cup race, the inaugural Cup race there. Saw Mark Martin get his first win. It was my first time ever watching that race, so that was pretty cool. Pretty good race, honestly. Glad we went back and watched it. Just outside of knowing who won the race, I had no clue what happened throughout the course of it. It's kind of similar to the truck race last night, where there were a lot of incidents in the early going, and then they had a long green flag run that lasted the second half of the race. Kind of got spaced out, and that's where Mark Martin was able to dominate about the last 50 laps or so. But before that, it was a really competitive race for the top 3 at the time. Him, Jared, and Rusty Wallace. So Kyle Busch already up 11 spots from the start of the race. He's the biggest mover through just the first 2 green flag completed laps that we have had so far. Chandler Smith going to elect the outside lane as he did on the initial start and try to do what he did the first time, and that's easily be able to clear Allgaier, who was scored in second when he was in a battle at the time with Brett Moffitt. He had just cleared him about a straightaway before that caution came out. Doran Davis, 900 horsepower next gen. Thanks for tuning in. Sit for Brains, welcome into the stream also. Seems to be it here in the chat recently. Green flag back in the air at Vegas. Nemechek going to try to go up the middle 3 wide into the first turn between Riley Herbst and Tyler Reddick. Almost clears the 98 car as they nearly make contact. I think Herbst is aggressively trying to side draft at the front of the field, side by side for the lead. Smith was not able to clear off turn 2 that time. In fact, Allgaier was very close to clearing Chandler Smith on the bottom lane, but as he pulled up off the exit of the corner, the run off the outside for Smith propelled him forward, and now he'll keep that run on the outside off of turn 4 as well and be able to clear Justin Allgaier at about the start-finish line. Down to the apron goes John Hunter Nemechek, trying to break away from a potential side draft on the 11 of Daniel Hemrick as they were 3 wide. He was in the middle. Herbst still on the outside. Brett Moffitt gets really loose off turn 2. Might have scraped the outside wall. That will check up the 98 of Herbst behind him. Allow for the 20 of Nemechek to get by both race cars. And Daniel Hemrick gets by the 98 and quickly to the inside of Moffitt for 5th. Kyle Busch up to 21st. Josh Berry, who started at the tail of the field, all the way up to 12th place already. 2-time winner at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Near contact, middle of turns 1 and 2, up ahead, 4 wide in the center of the corner after Brett Moffitt got loose again off of turn 2. And instead of checking up behind him again for Riley Herbst, he decided to go up the gut. Tyler Reddick got out of the gas, trying to make sure nobody was going to crash there, and him doing so cost him about 3 positions. Sam Mayer will get around him, buried to the inside of the 24 of Reddick as well. They'll be racing each other in tomorrow's action for the Cup Series. Sammy Smith, Riley Herbst have been side by side for the 6th place spot for about a lap and a half or so now. They had a couple cars in between them originally, but now it's just these two side by side. Herbst trying to pinch the 18 car down to the white line, not giving him a lot of room to try to get the exit of the corner, but it looked like Herbst may have washed up the track in the center of turns 3 and 4, which allowed for Sammy Smith to complete the pass finally for 6th. And a huge mess of cars in the back half of the field. Still got a lot of faster cars trying to make their way through the running order. Brandon Jones in the 9, who had to drop to the tail at the start of the race. And of course, Parker Kligerman, who just spun and had to drop to the tail because of bringing out that first caution. He's up to 24th already. Brandon Jones not going forward very quickly compared to the rest of the drivers who started at the tail end of the field, as he's only made his way up to 25th. Of course, though, we all know we've only had about 6 or 7 green flag laps in this race with that early caution on lap 3. Justin Allgaier not letting the 16 of Chandler Smith pull away, about a car length and a half difference down the back straightaway of lap 12 right now. Chandler Smith has led every lap, though, so far to start this race. It'll be 12 completed at the start-finish line now as he works his way off turn 4. Josh Berry cracks the top 10 for the first time up to 9th, and despite qualifying 3rd, Brett Moffitt is all the way back to 10th. Specifically on this last restart, first restart he was doing pretty good, settled himself in 3rd after about a lap and a half behind Allgaier, and then this restart just went awry for him. Contact made now with the leaders as Allgaier might have made contact the left rear quarter panel of Chandler Smith's race car down the back straightaway. Had a run off turn 2, went for it, tried to get as close as he could to suck as much air off that rear spoiler of the 16, and then launched himself down to the bottom of the track again in 3 and 4 to complete the pass. So for the first time today, Justin Allgaier will lead. As well, for the first time, Chandler Smith will not lead a lap. Josh Berry, hook in the bottom, clears his teammate Sam Mayer for position. Showing a replay, the 7 and the 16, they definitely made contact. It wasn't much, but there was some fender rubbing going on there. Very fortunate that the right front fender of Allgaier's car did not catch the tire on the left rear of the 16 car because that could have punctured it. Contact was made on the actual body of the race car. John Hunter Nemechek, meanwhile, has raced his way up to 3rd on the most recent restart. He's about 0.8 of a second off the race lead. Top 5 right now would run like this. Justin Allgaier leads. Chandler Smith is 0.4 of a second back in 2nd. 0.8 of a second off the lead is John Hunter Nemechek in 3rd. Austin Hill's in 4th, 1.6 seconds back. And Daniel Hemrick rounds out the top 5 at 2.4 seconds off the lead. 16 laps complete now at the start-finish line. Kyle Busch has made his way up to 12th place from the rear of the field. Both him and Josh Berry, the biggest movers so far. Raja Caruth, who also started at the back of the field today, is up to 13th as well, just behind Busch. Position-wise, just behind him on the actual racetrack, he's about a second and a half behind the 10. And Sheldon Creed up to 16th as well, started at the tail end of the pack for today's race. Smokey in the Pot, thanks for tuning in. Earl Arnold Jr., I do not really follow UFC. I did a little bit when I was in high school because I had a buddy of mine at the time that was on the wrestling team, so he was kind of big into it. So I was kind of slowly getting into it, but I kind of stayed on the professional wrestling side of things when it comes to fandom. I honestly couldn't tell you who a lot of the top guys are in UFC now. I could from yesteryear, from like the mid-2010s into the late 2010s, but I'll see like random ads on TV or something about, a title fight for whatever the pay-per-view is the upcoming month, and be like, I don't even know who those guys are most of the time. Or I've heard of one of the names and not the other one. Because I never really watched the pay-per-views either, so I never really heard many of the names of the undercard guys. John Hunter Nemechek making a pass for 2nd place on Chandler Smith the last lap. Kyle Busch going to break the top 10 now as he gets by Brett Moffitt for that 10th place spot. He's 6.5 seconds off the race lead and definitely rocketing forward. He's about 2 seconds behind Josh Berry, who again is still the lead car that started at the back. Berry stalled out in 8th, although it looks as if he may be battling Riley Herbst for 7th right now. So within about a 10.5 of a second from each other on the racetrack. And Nemechek has been running faster laps than Justin Allgaier. Last lap, Nemechek ran a 31.901. Allgaier with a 32.0. So about a 10th of a second quicker, and he's trimmed that lead down to about 0.4 of a second himself now after quickly getting by Smith in a hurry. One corner is all it took for him to get by Chandler Smith. Not much of a battle there. And Austin Hill slowly creeping in on Chandler Smith as well. And he too has been running faster laps than race leader Justin Allgaier. Also a 31.9 that last lap. Daniel Hemrick also with a 31.9. So about a 10th quicker for the 2nd, 4th, and 5th place cars compared to the race leader. Tyler Reddick, Brett Moffitt battling side by side into turns 1 and 2 with Reddick in the middle lane. Not all the way up near the wall. And the 25 car Moffitt all the way down to the white line easily. Without any hesitation, the 24 is going to be able to clear by a couple car lengths off of turn 2. So Moffitt is now fallen all the way back to 12th. Austin Hill making a pass on the front stretch after a huge run off of turn 4. pushing himself up to third place. These teams will not have to be on pit road at all in stage 1 unless we get a caution that brings them into the pits middle of this stage or splits the field up in any way. Knowing that the pit window is about 59 to 61 laps for fuel, and there's only 45 laps in each of these first 2 stages, expecting the field to come onto pit road at the end of stage 1 if we don't get a caution before then. Easy pass for the race lead. John Hunter Nemechek has overtaken Justin Allgaier on the front stretch, leading his first lap of the race. He's now the 3rd different leader in the first 23 laps. As Justin Allgaier was able to lead a total of 9 laps after the first 12 were led by Chandler Smith. First commercial break of the day during green flag action on FS1. We'll stay right here with our coverage for right now. Just over 100 people watching. Appreciate everybody tuning in this afternoon. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. And most importantly, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content, where you can catch live race commentary streams on the weekly for all 3 of the top series in NASCAR Truck Xfinity Cup. Will be live tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas. Money's on Kyle Busch. I knew I should have put money on Busch. I just didn't like the odds. Plus 180. I was like, man, I'm going to have to bid a lot just to win a lot. I didn't like the risk. And I should have done it anyway. I should have put like 50 on him. Could have netted a little over $100. I went with John Hunter Nemechek. I should have went with Nemechek today. I went with Allgaier. Can't win them all, though. I've actually been blessed that I've won twice already in the Cup Series this season, so I know my stuff more in the Cup Series just because you're able to look at more statistics. Drivers have been in Cup cars for a longer period of time against other Cup drivers versus Xfinity Truck Series. It's a lot harder to predict majority of the time, especially when you're trying to pick the Xfinity or Truck Series regulars, just because, for one, it's a shorter season, so there isn't as much data there. There isn't as much data as well just off of prior years of experience because the field is so young. They're only in the Xfinity Series for a couple seasons. So you really have to ride momentum a lot of the time when you're picking in the lower series. And with it being early in the season, there's not really a lot of momentum to be had considering we've only had 2 points races. Art, music, food, life lived. Thanks for tuning in. Kyle Busch going to win. He is superior. Well, he is your guys' pick to win. And he is working his way through the field. He's cracked the top 10 already. And you can bet if we get a late caution, he's going to end up sacrificing stage points. That worked out well for him in the Truck Series to get the track position for the final stage because we had cautions towards the end of both Stage 1 and Stage 2, which allowed pit road to be open for drivers and teams that were outside the top 10 or drivers that were in the Cup Series or Xfinity Series not racing for points like Ross Chastain, Kyle Busch, John Hunter Nemechek in last night's race, that they were able to pit, sacrifice track position because the drivers that were going for the stage points to racing for the season championship in the Xfinity Series would then have to pit during the stage break as they stayed out for the points. So it'll be interesting to see if that happens at all today. As far as Stage 1 goes, we're down to about 16 laps left. Allgaier still within 1/10 of a second of John Hunter Nemechek. Nemechek has not pulled away since getting to the lead after running consecutive laps of about 1/10 or 2 quicker than him to catch him. And Austin Hill in the 21 car now within about 1/2 a second of the race lead in 3rd. Daniel Hemrick up to 4th during the commercial break. He passed Chandler Smith for position, but they're both 5 seconds off the race lead yet. Little 3-car battle going on between the 11, 16, and the 98 from 4th through 6th on the racetrack. Full field running order right now in Stage 1. You got John Hunter Nemechek in the lead. Justin Allgaier 2nd. 0.4 of a second back now off the lead. Austin Hill is in 3rd. Daniel Hemrick 4th. Chandler Smith is 5th. Riley Hurt 6th. Sammy Smith 7th. Josh Berry 8th. Sam Mayer 9th. Kyle Busch is 10th. Brett Moffitt in 11th. Sheldon Creed 12th. Tyler Reddick 13th. Jeb Burton 14th. Parker Kligerman is 15th. 16th is Brandon Jones. 17th is Anthony Alfredo. Cole Custer is 18th. 19th is Ryan Sieg. And Kyle Sieg, his brother, in 20th. Roger Carruth has fallen back to 21st. Kyle Weatherman in 22nd. Joe Graff Jr. 23rd. Alex Obey 24th. Parker Retzlaff 25th. Kaz Grella in 26th, Jeremy Clements 27th, Bailey Curry 28th, Jeffrey Earnhardt 29th, and Greg Golding is 30th. Brendan Poole 31st, 32nd Ryan Ellis, 33rd Josh Bilicki. 34th place is Josh Williams, Joey Gase 35th, Blaine Perkins first car lap down in 36th, Patrick Emersley in 37th, and 38th 2 laps down is Garrett Smithley in the 99, rounding out the field. Driver changed that 99 this weekend. He had to start at the back of the field and well off the pace. He's actually 1 lap down right now. Or leaderboard might have been a little wonky there for a second at the tail end of the field. He's only 1 lap down. And a couple more cars just lost their lap over the last couple. Josh Bilicki's now the free pass car in 34th. So we'll have to watch out for that as we get closer to the end of stage 1. Down to just 14 to go. Make that 13. 13 laps to go in the stage. Parker Kligerman, after that spin, has made his way all the way back up to 15th. He's gained 22 positions since the restart, more than any other driver. Of course, started deeper in the field than any of the other drivers that are in the top 5 on that list of biggest gainers since the restart. Brandon Jones has finally made his way up to just outside the top 15, right behind Kligerman in 16th place. Sheldon Creed up to 12th place after starting at the tail end of the field. So you got 3 drivers that started at the very back up into the top dozen. It'll be interesting if they can get track position up there with a Nemechek or an Allgaier at the front of the field, if they'll be able to contend on speed. The likes of Josh Berry, Kyle Busch, and Sheldon Creed. Creed was pretty quick last weekend at Auto Club on an intermediate. Of course, Kyle Busch, a master in the Xfinity cars here. And Josh Berry has 2 wins in the Xfinity Series at Vegas as well. So coming into the day, he was going to be one to watch as well. And I think this is a good track to make his Cup debut, at least with HMS tomorrow. His next-gen debut with HMS tomorrow. Because this is probably his best track on the Xfinity Series. This in Martinsville. Ethan, thanks for tuning in also. About 130 people watching. Thanks for everybody tuning in here this afternoon. We got 11 laps to go at stage 1 of the Alsco Uniforms 300 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Top 3 within 1.1 seconds of each other still. A giant gap of just over 5 seconds between positions 3 and 4 on the racetrack. By far the biggest gap in between positions of those on the lead lap. It's just a 3-car race at the very front of the field, and I would have to assume that Barry, Busch, and Creed have really used their tires up trying to fight through the field those opening laps of the race, and that is why they have stalled out. And they've stalled out enough that even Sammy Smith is now caught up to Josh Berry for 7th, and they're battling for position right now. Sam Mayer, Kyle Busch going back and forth for 9th as well. Berry working in that outside lane, probably running higher than most other drivers that are on the lead lap on the racetrack right now. And Sammy Smith was right there with him, just behind, running about a half a lane lower, trying to get a little bit of clean air on the nose of his race car to help it in the center of the corner. Lap traffic might be holding up Justin Allgaier a bit because he has lost Nemechek over the last few laps, and Austin Hill has slowly reeled him in. Allgaier did not get off turn 2 very well. He caught the 51 of Clements without being able to clear him. That'll slow him down, not being able to feed his car all the way out to the wall. And Nemechek this last lap will extend his lead as he was a little over a 1/10.5 quicker than Allgaier. About a 7/10 of a second lead at the line. 7 laps to go, stage 1 right now. Nemechek down to the apron in the middle of the trial. Will try to fight his way to the bottom. He gets blocked heavily by the 4 of Bailey Curry going into the corner. That'll hold up Nemechek a little bit more, and Allgaier trying to close that gap again. Kyle Busch is caught up to the battle of Sammy Smith and Josh Berry after finally getting by Sam Mayer for position, with the 18 and the 8 battling back and forth for the last 5 or 6 laps or so. Busch trying to get a couple more positions here before the end of the stage. Before leading into pit stops, where he's going to have to rely on his pit crew to potentially get him some extra spots to get him closer to the front of the field. Sammy Smith easily clearing Josh Berry off the exit of the corner, but Berry carrying a lot of speed on the front stretch after running the outside all the way up near the wall. We'll see if he'll try a crossover on Smith going into turn 1. He is not going to be able to do that because Kyle Busch instead was able to get to the inside of Josh Berry. So there's no chance for Berry to try to take the dive bomb move needed to make the pass. Kyle Busch now slides his car down the track into turns 3 and 4. Up he goes, clearing Berry now for 8th place. Austin Hill, 2 car lengths now behind Justin Allgaier with 5 laps to go in stage 1. Busch going back to the bottom now to try to get underneath Sammy Smith for 7th. They're probably not going to catch Daniel Hemrick, who's the next car in front of both Busch and Smith. About a second and a half behind him with not much time remaining in the stage. And Hemrick not really battling anybody because Riley Herbst is a little bit ahead of him as well. About 2 seconds ahead of where Hemrick's at on track. Good start to the season for Herbst. 6th and 7th place finishes at Daytona and Fontana and running in the top 5 in stage 1. Keeping that car clean this season is a must. It's probably the thing he struggled with the most at times in the Xfinity series. Just trying to make it to the end of the races, maximize as many points as possible by seeing the end, finishing on the lead lap, and he's been able to do so in the first 2 races. Austin Hill finally gets to the inside of Justin Allgaier, but cannot complete the pass in turns 1 and 2. There's a lap car down to the bottom that might have been affecting the air on the front of the 21. That'd be the 45 car of Raja Karuth, who's gone backwards. He got his way up to 13th after starting at the tail of the field, and then he ended up just free-falling after that, now to be in 26th, a lap down. He may get the free pass, though, if nobody else goes a lap down before the end of the stage. He's well ahead of Jeffrey Earnhardt, who is the next driver for position behind him in 27th. Final lap of stage 1 this time by. Sheldon Creed, by the way, just passed Josh Berry about a half a lap ago for 9th place. Berry was able to get up to 7th pretty quickly, but then he fell off the longer this opening tire stint went. Nemechek's got a 1.1 second lead built up now over Justin Allgaier. That'll be closed here in less than a lap when the stage comes to an end. This will be the first stage win of the season for John Hunter Nemechek, and it'll be 6 playoff points now total on the year after winning at Auto Club. A win is worth 5 playoff points. Stage win's worth 1. And the margin is about 1.3 seconds at the line. John Hunter Nemechek will win stage 1 at Las Vegas. Justin Allgaier 2nd, Austin Hill 3rd, Chandler Smith 4th, and Riley Herbst will round out the top 5 in this first stage. Daniel Hemrick in 6th, Kyle Busch 7th, Sammy Smith in 8th, Sheldon Creed 9th, and Josh Berry will round out the top 10. Watching the Alsco Uniforms 300 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway live here on KRC on the channel. Be sure to like, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Helps me out a ton, helps the channel out a ton to be able to keep doing these live streams every week for you guys for the Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series. We'll take our first break of the race, and then we'll have pit stops on the other side. Minerva 9, thanks for tuning in. We're 2 laps behind the live broadcast. Shoot, lost it. Let you call the whole race. Listen to you during commercial. I appreciate it. Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay from YouTube to you guys. Hulu's a little behind on my end because in my laptop, it's actually playing ahead in my ear by like a half a lap. And I'm trying to get my TV synced up with it. And every time I log out and try to log back in, it's not really working. Try powering my TV off and turn it back on again. Mark63, Pete Creamer, thanks for tuning in also. Free pass did go to Karuth during that stage break. It's our second caution of the day. Kligerman spun out on lap number 3, bringing out our first caution, and then the stage break will end under green flag conditions. Rounding out about a 37-lap green flag run to end the stage. Same 45 laps in this next stage. Everybody will pit now. They'll be able to make it for fuel purposes to the end of stage 2. If we get any cautions before then, again, they will, I'm sure, pit. Two at the play after an inch of rain yesterday. Yeah. Our golf courses aren't even open around here. Guarantee it. Not that I've called or tried to check in on it. Can all but guarantee, though, after all the rain and slight snow that I've had over the last half a week or so. I mean, it's just not even warm enough yet. The ground's probably too soft anyway. Every now and then I'll get a day in the 50s or at near 60, and then the next day it'll be right back down in the 30s for a high again. Like, I was looking at the temperature for the next, 2 weeks, and on my end, for the next couple weeks, it's supposed to be, a high of, no highs in the 50s over the next 2 weeks, so, except for Monday. But after that, it isn't the case, so I'll probably have to wait for golfing. I haven't been able to go to any races yet either. And when I went to Texas for the Royal Rumble about a month and a half ago, it literally rained the entire weekend I was there. And I brought my clubs, didn't get to use them. So I'm definitely going through the golfing withdrawals for sure. Field coming into the pits right now. You'll listen into the reports.
Scheduled stops into stage 1. Here they are, Josh.
Yeah, let's start with the 8 of Josh Berry, a two-time winner here at Vegas. Started 31st in this race, has worked his way up into the top 10, saying he was getting just a little too tight, so they're going to make an adjustment to free him up. Moving on to the 10 of Kyle Busch, also a guy that's been free all weekend long, still a little too free, so they're going to help him out with a track bar adjustment. Regan.
Justin Allgaier in the 7 car, very steady at the start of this race right now. At the end of the run, though, too tight across the front end. And the 20 car, John Hunter Nemechek, struggling to hold the lines in turns 1 and 2 as much as he wants to, meaning he can't keep it down on the line for the corner exit in the middle of the corner. He loses the front too much.
Race off pit road.
Austin Hill going to win the race out of the pits, gaining 2 positions. John Hunter Nemechek ended up 2nd and Allgaier 3rd. Kyle Busch gains 3 spots, as well as Sam Mayer and Brandon Jones, biggest losers of the top 10. Riley Herbst, Chandler Smith, they each lose 2. There's a tire in the grass, in the infield. So there's... we're unaware exactly whose team that may be. It's right near the 20 teams pit box. But no speculation here as to who that tire belongs to yet. Once we get word... Ryan Blaney saying he thinks it's Alex LeBay's tire. And here is John Hunter Nemechek.
Love the way that it wraps that line all the way across the bottom in 3 and 4. What do you think, and what can you do better?
Yeah, just taking a page out of your notebook, or Atlanta. The wind is definitely playing a factor into that. It wraps really good. Ben and all the guys on the 20 team did a really good job. Toyota GR Supra is as fast as Xfinity 10G, so hopefully we can keep it up front all day, make the right calls, stay on top of the racetrack, and just keep this thing turning all day.
10-4, man. Thanks for talking to us and looking good out there.
Appreciate it.
You see Harvick swell up when he said, "I'm just doing my best." Harvick from Atlanta over there. I mean, he's feeling good about it.
You know, Blaney and I were talking about it, and his car does wrap.
And it was Alex Obey's tire that did roll across pit road. Had some drivers trying to dodge it. Josh Berry nearly made contact with Sheldon Creed trying to miss the tire. And one driver had to go out in the grass. I believe that was the 24 of Tyler Reddick as well with his right sides there. To get those cleaned off before he gets back into the restart zone. Frank Powers, welcome into the stream also. Josh Berry's supposed to drive the 9 tomorrow. I would assume that he's going to end up driving the 9 until Chase comes back, but no guarantees on that. I know Allgaier's filled in a couple different times. Gregson's already in the Cup Series. He filled in for Bowman last year, but I remember Allgaier filling in I think it was for Jimmy Johnson at the Indy Road Course when he had COVID back in 2020. It would have been 2020. My bad. Kyle Lance, welcome in. Big Dog, welcome to the stream. I live in Northwest Ohio. Pretty close to Lake Erie, so that would be why I have cold winters. It's been abnormally warm this winter. Well, I mean, it's weird because usually it's really cold all the way through January, February, and December. It kind of consistently gets down below freezing for highs, but it's not like in the teens or colder. But December this year was like extremely cold compared to normal. Between that blizzard that came in around Christmas and then even just before that, it felt like it was in the 20s and the teens for highs a lot. And then once we got like middle of January, it kind of felt like spring every now and then. And honestly, the last couple of weeks, it felt like early spring, but now it's getting colder again over the next couple of weeks. So golf courses still are not open, unfortunately for myself. I accidentally hit the dislike button while reaching for a beer and smoke. Fixed it to like. Thank you. Appreciate it, Robert. Thanks for tuning in again also. Yeah, hit the like button. You know, I kind of never understand. It's like if the dislike button is there, I get that it's good feedback, I guess, from time to time. But the problem with it is like you hit it. It's like if you really dislike it so much, why don't you just not watch? Like that's what I don't understand. Same thing when people leave like comments about like, oh, this crap sucks or whatever. It's like, okay, then why are you watching? It's like they need to be heard. Must irate person who makes YouTube videos. Josh Berry went to high school with Taylor Swift. And Cole Custer was in pole vault. Rich Goin, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully I said your last name correctly. Nathan Urich, welcome into the stream. Have to ignore that 3%. Oh, for sure. That's the only thing you can do. Yeah, never good to fight fire with fire. I tend to think I'm a pretty, easygoing person. Pretty nice. Oh, from Michigan. Awesome. Got a car that's stalled out in turns 1 and 2. Gonna have to get a push start, so they waved the restart off. Should be going green this time by. Looks like the lights are out on the pace car again. Joey Gase was the car that stalled out, by the way. It's already a lap down. Austin Hill elects the outside lane for the restart here. John Hunter Nemechek will be the inside of row 1. Row 2, Kyle Busch will be on the bottom after getting 3 spots gained on pit road. And Justin Allgaier now will be on the top. So first we'll be able to see Kyle Busch towards the front of the field for a restart. Sheldon Creed lost some time on pit road after just getting up to 9th before the end of the stage.
We look like dudes of hazards. Remember when the group got took off the sheriff's car? Jerry, hold the hat.
Oh man, there's never a dull moment with Chris Rice,
ever,
team manager, but those guys they're always having fun, and I think that's just the calling environment that Chris creates. But if Kyle's going to keep driving this LA golf car, we've seen pole vaulters, we've seen. I want to see Kyle Busch's golf swing. If you're going to drive the LA golf car, I want to see video of Kyle Busch's golf swing. What do you think, Adam?
Well, why do I immediately think of Bill Murray and Caddyshack when you say you want to see Kyle Busch's golf swing?
That's probably what it looks
Drive
like,
the LA
too.
golf car and not show us your golf swing.
How about the three of us invite Kyle? That would be a nice foursome.
He might show up and just be a scratch golfer. You never know.
Yeah.
I doubt it. I mean, it's possible. I doubt it.
Restart.
Green flag is going to be back in the air at Las Vegas. Stage 2 underway in the third NASCAR Xfinity Series race of the season. Lap 54 of 200. 3 wide down towards the first turn. Sammy Smith going to the outside of the 98 and the 48 underneath him. At the front of the field, John Hunter Nemechek on the bottom lane going to be able to clear. Chandler Smith going to put his teammate Kyle Busch as well as Justin Allgaier 3 wide for third place on the backstretch as well as they funnel into turn 3. Busch still in the middle. He's got a little bit of clean air on the nose of the race car. Nobody in that same lane in front of him, but he's going to lose a couple of spots on the restart. Restarted inside of row 2. Battling back to the outside of Chandler Smith on the front stretch. Huge run by Justin Allgaier in the 7 as well on the front stretch as he powers by on the outside of Austin Hill. Through the bumps on the bottom of the racetrack at turns 1 and 2, Hill will have to slide up in line in front of Kyle Busch, right behind Allgaier. Side by side for the race lead now between the 7 and the 20. The 20 protects the bottom lane. Allgaier up high, trying to propel forward again. Allgaier seems to have a really good short run car. He takes off, and then after about 20 laps, it clips, and he really starts to go backwards. Really now trying to crowd the 20 and the 21 down to the apron in the tri-ovals. He's desperately trying to stay on the outside and not trying to lose that track position. Now Nemechek will slide up into the outside lane in front of the 7 that may hurt him middle of the corner. Chandler Smith going up the middle, 3 wide now between the 21 and the 7 for second. Still 3 wide on the backstretch as they enter turn 3. This is allowing Nemechek to slowly pull away. Smith not giving a lot of room to the 20 of Austin Hill, who's down on the bottom, hooking the white line all the way through the corner. Sammy Smith now in the picture underneath the Kyle Busch, who almost gets into the wall off turn 4. Allgaier all clear for second as he moves down in front of the 21 and 16, who still remain side by side for third, as well as the 18 and 10 behind them for fifth. Kyle Busch with a massive run this time will clear Sammy Smith and may even also get by the 21 of Austin Hill on the front stretch. He'll be able to do so as he moves up to fourth. Hill slides back up in the outside lane on the back stretch before dive bombing it into turns 3 and 4, trying to get back alongside Kyle Busch. He'll be unable to do so. Sammy Smith trying to power forward but loses the front of his car just a bit off the exit of turn 4 and can't get alongside Hill. 0.3 of a second lead in the line from John Hunter Nemechek over Justin Allgaier. It looked like Garrett Smithley started blowing up at the tail end of the field. We remain green. He has already made his way to pit road. Tough break for that 99 team. For BJ McLeod Motorsports. Sammy Smith has finally gotten alongside of Austin Hill and actually cleared him off turn 4 in the outside lane. It does seem like it's pretty even to be able to pass cars at both the top and the bottom of the racetrack. Over the course of the long run, the cars tend to want to feed up towards the wall because handling goes away through the bumps on the bottom, which make it much harder to pass on the longer run on the inside versus the outside. But on both the inside and the outside lanes, at least on the restarts when everybody's on fresher tires, seems like both lanes are fairly equal with one another. Some cars are able to work the bottom a lot better than others, make passes, gain time, and some more on the outside. Depends on probably the driver's driving style, how their car is handling versus their driving styles in accordance to this race so far. Allgaier still keeping pretty close right now with Nemechek, and in fact Chandler Smith has just passed Allgaier for second on the front stretch. Both colleague cars of Chandler Smith and Kyle Busch working themselves forward, and the third colleague car of Daniel Hemrick sitting back in ninth right now. Parker Kligerman entering back in the top 10 after that spin on lap 3, so he's recovered pretty well for himself so far. And it also works out we've had a lot of long green flag runs so far in this race because he's had an extra set of tires on his car with that spin compared to the rest of the field. So he really wants this race to go green for a long portion of time. That'll help him out towards the late going of the race. 34 of 61 laps led. Make that 35 of 61 laps led for John Hunter Nemechek so far. He won stage 1, obviously has led the most. Chandler Smith, who has also led laps, along with Allgaier, both behind him for position in second and third right now, and Kyle Busch in fourth, still right there. Top four all within about 0.8 of a second of each other, so no really major difference in positions amongst them. Sam Mayer creeping into the top five for the first time today, just barely able to clear Sammy Smith at about the start-finish line. Smith tried to go down to the apron to side draft him. The 21 of Austin Hill was able to go to the apron and also get to the inside of the 18 as they battle for position. FS1 going on a full screen commercial break. We'll take a quick rundown of the full field running order for you guys in stage 2. John Hunter Nemechek is your race leader. Chandler Smith is in second. Justin Allgaier third. Kyle Busch fourth. Sam Mayer is fifth. Sammy Smith in sixth. Seventh place is Austin Hill. Riley Herbst in eighth. Parker Kligerman ninth. And Daniel Hemrick is 10th. Brandon Jones in 11th. Sheldon Creed 12th. Josh Berry 13th. 14th is Cole Custer. 15th is Brett Moffitt. Tyler Reddick in 16th. Jeb Burton in 17th. Ryan Segan 18th. Joe Graff Jr. 19th. Kaz Gralla is 20th. 21st place right now is Anthony Alfredo. Kyle Segan 22nd. Raja Carruth, who got the free pass during the stage break, in 23rd. Kyle Weatherman 24th. Alex Abay is the last car in the lead lap in 25th. Jeremy Clements first car lap down in 26th. Josh Williams 27th. Bailey Curry 28th. Jeffrey Earnhardt 29th. Ryan Ellis 30th. Josh Malicki 31st. 32nd is Greg Galding. Brendan Poole 33rd. Patrick Emmerling 34th. Blaine Perkins in 35th. Parker Retzlaff 36th, 3 laps down. Garrett Smithley just blew an engine moments ago. He's out of the race in 37th, and Joey Gase has been out. He stalled during the stage break. He is 15 laps down as well in last. So that is your running order as of right now in this race. Alsco uniforms 300 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Take a quick break here while we're waiting on Fox to come back. Be sure to like, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you haven't yet already, as we have about 30 laps to go in Stage 2. Mike George, welcome into the stream. It's worse than having ants in your pants. Funny story with that. I was eating dinner the other night. I want to say it was Thursday after the live stream we had when we were watching the 1998 Las Vegas race. Went downstairs, eating on the couch, whatever. And I felt something like on my leg. I was wearing jeans, so I don't know how it happened, but I was wearing jeans, and I was wearing longer socks, so it was like halfway up my shin. I felt something. Felt like there was like an ant or something crawling on me. And I rolled up my pant leg, and sure enough, there was an ant. I don't know how it happened, but I literally had an ant in my pants. No clue how that happened. Can't recall that really happening before, although it might have. Who knows? But yeah, it was it kind of freaked me out at first because I was like, "What the heck?" And I quickly rolled up my leg because it felt like something was crawling on me, and I wasn't paranoid. Something was actually crawling on me. I would have been more concerned if nothing was crawling on me at the same time, though, because then that would have probably freaked me out a little bit more. Like, okay, why did I just feel that and nothing's there? It's an uncomfortable feeling, I'll tell you that much. It wasn't a plethora of ants, so that's a good thing. It was just the one. Top 3 drivers all within 0.2 of a second of each other. Kyle Busch in fourth has fallen back just a little bit. He's about a full second off the race lead. He's running the outside lane all the way near the wall, though, where the other 3 are kind of tightly around the bottom or middle grooves of the racetrack still. 21 laps to go right now, by the way, in Stage 2. We have a little less left in this stage than what I thought when they went to the commercial break. So 20 to go now, this time off of Turn 4. Was it a love bug? I don't know. Whatever kind of bug it was, I was not making love to it, if that is what you're insinuating. That was not on my plans for Thursday night after the stream. Justin Allgaier going all the way up near the wall. Same line Kyle Busch is running. Busch not really making much time up there. Allgaier going to try to do that, though, versus the 2 cars in front of him. That's going to put dirty air in the nose of Kyle Busch if he does try to close in just a bit. It's going to be even harder for Kyle to run the top. It does seem like he picked up a little bit of time through turns 3 and 4. What will help Kyle Busch and Justin Allgaier attack on the leaders is if they get side by side like they are right now. The 20 of John Hunter Nemechek is on the outside. The 16 on the inside of Chandler Smith, diving it off into turn 3. And Chandler Smith will easily be able to clear Nemechek off turn 4. First time Smith has led in Stage 2, trying to get his first career Xfinity Series win today. He's been adamant over the last couple weeks since joining the Xfinity Series full-time how much he loves this series and loves these cars. Near contact going into turn 1 in a battle for, I believe, 10th place. Riley Herbst and Josh Berry. Berry getting loose off turn 2. A second time after getting loose off turn 4 and nearly making contact. Berry's driving the wheels off that race car trying to get by the 98. Got to the top 10 quickly at the start of the race, but he's not able to hold on to it. On the long run, Berry goes around. This time he finally loses it off turn 4. Slides through the grass on the front stretch. And it doesn't look like he will tear the splitter up, which is good. Everybody misses to the outside on the racing surface, and we're under caution for the 3rd time this afternoon. Berry was loose about 3 corners in a row, and that time finally lost it off turn 4. Probably had a lack of side force as well with how close he was to the 98 of Herbst. Great job by Berry steering clear of the 98, not making contact with him, at least major enough contact. A wiggle and then a slide from Josh Berry as it slipped out from underneath him. He plowed the grass when he first entered the infield grass, but it doesn't look like it really damaged the splitter. Luckily, it's been dry at Las Vegas this weekend, because if it would have been like Auto Club last week, it probably would have dug in and completely tore up the front of the car, but Berry will be able to continue. He'll have to put new tires back on the car. This will be interesting to see who pits and who decides to stay out, because it's going to be a late-stage restart. By the time we go green, we're still going to have probably just over 10 laps to go in the stage. Consider there isn't much cleanup here for that spin. Berry on pit road taking tires. Pit road is open.
But anticipate not with this many laps to go in the stage.
It's a blister on the right rear tire after they pulled it off the race car, but I would have to imagine that that was because of the slide rather than actually on the track. John Hunter Nemechek coming into the pits, but most of the drivers in the top 10 going to stay out. So your stage 1 winner and the driver who's running second get a pit here. He was falling off there. Just lost the lead right before the caution came out, so that's probably a reason for pitting.
What brought them down pit road right here? Better to play it safe than to have an issue. What they are going to do, they just about 5 minutes ago glued up the scuff tires that they took off the car on the first run. They are going to put those tires on it to get through to the end of this stage. That way they're not in a deficit tire-wise as it gets down to the end of this race.
So you basically give up any opportunity to get stage points here in stage 2 by this strategy, but you save that set of tires so you're in balance with everybody else, and you still got a chance for a late rally.
Fair point. He's obviously got a really fast car, so he is capable of doing so. But this is not going to help him, though, getting back in traffic right now. And it's definitely going to sacrifice any sort of stage points in stage number 2, more than likely. With that caution, I believe the free pass went to Jeremy Clements in 26th. Let me check just to make sure. No, never mind. It didn't have to. It did. He is back on the lead lap. So free pass will go to Jeremy Clements, 26th place. That means that there will be another free pass position awarded during the stage break in about a dozen laps or so. Josh Williams, Jeffrey Earnhardt, Ryan Ellis, Bailey Curry, of those battling for that free pass spot to the end of the stage. Sounded like MRN announcer similar to Joe Moore. Well, I mean, I do my best commentating I can on the channel. I'm not trying to imitate anybody, but if I come off sounding like somebody, appreciate the compliment anyway. I gotta give a radio-style broadcast because you guys aren't able to actually see the action on the screen. So that's one thing that a lot of people that I'll see like randomly on the internet, and they'll say that they appreciate and like the commentating of MRN and the PRN, radio broadcasting a lot better than like TV broadcasting today. But it is a different style of broadcast because you're not actually able to see the action going on the track. You're only able to hear the commentators on the radio side of things. So they have to speak fast. They have to be on top of it. They have to be able to paint the picture so you can try to mentally visualize what you are listening to as you're listening to it. So you got to be really quick with it. And that's kind of the style I go for on this commentary side of things because you guys aren't able to see. TV side of things, that's why they have a lot of stories they'll tell throughout the course of an event going on, during like longer green flag runs. They'll talk about strategy and updates and stuff still too to keep you on top of the action going on in the race that you aren't able to see when it comes to those strategy calls and whatnot. But or they'll break down something replay wise that they might have seen on a restart or an accident, how it was caused. It's a different style of broadcast. It's really uncomparable if you ask me. So if you ask me personally what's better, the MRN guys or like the NBC booth during the season, it's really not comparable. They're far different from each other that I can't say one's better than the other because they both do a great job. Now I can argue whether NBC's booth is better than Fox's booth or PRN's, commentary is better than MRN or vice versa. That I'd be able to do, but it's hard to compare both to another because they're completely different jobs of broadcasting. Presentation. Got about 160 people watch right now. We're under caution after Josh Berry spin off of turn 4. This might be the most viewed Xfinity Series race by the end of it. We keep tracking the way we are right now, so appreciate everybody tuning in. I think for Daytona we had about 250 watching. I'll check real quick, actually. I don't want to fudge the number. Try to find it before they get back to green flag racing here. Chandler Smith will be the leader on the restart. He's been electing the outside for a large portion of the restart so far today, so I'd assume he'll end up doing the same again as well. We had 190. Actually, we had less than that. I think we had the 250 for the truck race that night before. So we are definitely on pace for this to be the most viewed Xfinity Series race so far this season. Because there was that, and then last week we didn't have as many, which I kind of figured would be the rain day. We had 156 for concurrent viewers. So this is already the second most viewed of the first 3 races this year. Let's try to make it top, so hit that like button, subscribe. We'll take you to the end of Stage 2 as the restart is underway. 11 laps to go in the stage. Chandler Smith, as predicted, elects the outside. A little bit of contact down to the bottom as Sam Mayer threw a bad block on Sammy Smith. There was contact. Mayer almost spun himself out going into turn 1. And as he lost a lot of momentum there, he falls from about 5th all the way back to 9th or 10th, maybe even further. Chandler Smith will not be able to hang on the outside, and for the second time, Justin Allgaier on the bottom will take the lead on a restart away from Chandler Smith on the outside lane. So Justin Allgaier out in front. Second place right now is Chandler Smith. Austin Hill third. Kyle Busch is in 4th. Brandon Jones rounds out the top 5 in 5th. First time he's been up in the top 5 today. Sammy Smith is in 6th place. Riley Herbst 7th. Brett Moffitt 8th. Cole Custer in the top 10 now in 9th. And Sam Mayer fell from 5th to 10th on that restart. Just a bad block there for Sam Mayer on Sammy Smith. From one Sam to another. One thing that I've noticed watching the Xfinity Series over the last year and a half, really since about the halfway mark of last season, that Sam Mayer and Sheldon Creed, when they're up towards the front of the field, they tend to be a little bit too aggressive, and they throw, bad blocks, for instance, in similar situations, or they battle too hard for like a 2nd or 3rd place position. They end up either wrecking themselves or costing themselves so much momentum that they end up losing a handful of positions. So it sounds like Justin Allgaier going to get a penalty for jumping the restart. Oh, it's because he went to the apron. I don't think it was for jumping the restart. I think it's because he went to the apron before getting to the start-finish line. Now he almost misses pit road. Trying to get onto pit road for a green flag stop. It's tough to tell if he had all 4 tires down below the cone.
For the start-finish line, you got to keep your left side tires above that line. He went down too soon.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was going to say, I don't think he jumped the restart. Regan Smith called it exactly how I saw it. So Allgaier went down to the apron before the start-finish line, cutting the restart. You cannot do that. So that is why he got penalized, which is what I thought. I didn't think he jumped it. I thought it was a pretty good restart from that side of things, from when he got into the gas, even though Smith was the control car. But definitely dropped down below the apron. So taking a pass-through penalty late in the stage is going to cost him a potential stage win because he was leading on that restart. So now the race lead is back to Chandler Smith. Austin Hill is right behind him battling for the lead. And Allgaier should be on the lead lap to the end of the stage. So the good news is in 7 laps he'll get caught up with the rest of the field. The bad news is he's going to have to restart at the tail end of the field for the start of stage 3. And if we have a lot of long green flag runs, or a long green flag run to end this race in the final stage like we did in the Truck Series last night, like we've had a lot of long green flag runs already in today's Xfinity Series race, it's going to be very difficult for Allgaier to get himself to the front of the field despite having one of the faster cars in today's race, as he has led just 9 laps, but he has been in the top 3 all afternoon long. Yeah, he had all 4 tires down below the white line, so it wasn't even close. No way to argue that one. Barbed Wire, thanks for tuning in. Wrecking Ball. Appreciate that comment, Danny. But, yeah, I was talking before that penalization came out there for Justin Allgaier. I was talking about Sam Mayer and Sheldon Creed. They have a lot of talent. Don't get me wrong. They have a lot of talent if they can hone it in. It's kind of similar to Noah Gragson his first year and a half in the Xfinity Series. When he wasn't winning a lot, he was tearing up some equipment from time to time. And when he wasn't tearing up equipment, he was in the top 10. That's kind of how Sam Mayer started his Xfinity Series career. And same goes for Sheldon Creed. A lot more inconsistency from Sheldon Creed than Mayer or Gragson. He's in a little bit lesser equipment, though, too. So that might have something to do with it. But he does have a lot less consistency because he missed the playoffs last year for the Xfinity Series, if you remember. Both Mayer and Creed winless still in their Xfinity career after 1 full season and now just a couple races into their 2nd full-time season in the series. Brandon Jones, Kyle Busch battling for 2nd place on the track. Brandon Jones really came out of nowhere over the last couple restarts, really since the start of Stage 2. He got into the top 10 for the first time, and now battling Kyle Busch for 2nd. Chandler Smith going backwards after taking the race lead away after Allgaier had to make that pit stop. Well, not really a pit stop, but a drive-through penalty after having an error on the restart. Herbst nearly got into the back of the 16 there. Chandler Smith had to check up behind him. It might have made contact on the front stretch after the fact that allows Sam Mayer to get up to 4th. Sammy Smith going to take it 3 wide to the outside of the 16 and 98. He passes both of them through 1 and 2 as they're still trying to get their momentum back up as well. So Sammy Smith is now inside the top 5 to 5th. Spinner! And can't tell who that is in the smoke. It's the 45. Raja Karuth. Caution is out with 2 laps to go in the stage. So this will end the stage under caution. Austin Hill will win stage 2. Brandon Jones will end up 2nd. Kyle Busch 3rd. Sam Mayer 4th. Sammy Smith 5th. Chandler Smith 6th. Riley Herbst 7th. Cole Custer 8th. Brett Moffitt 9th. And Sheldon Creed will round out the top 10 in stage 1. It looked like he might have driven it in a little too deep into the corner. Looked like he might have clipped the apron just a hair or maybe got too much on the white line, and that's what caused him to break sideways. And around he goes. Everybody misses to the outside. He was towards the tail end of the lead lap. But a good save nonetheless to keep it off the inside retaining wall, and he'll be able to continue onward. Terry Williams, welcome into the stream. Austin Hill might go out and win the race. It's possible. He's never won on a non-super speedway in the Xfinity Series. All 3 of his wins have come at either Daytona or the new Atlanta configuration. That'll be playoff point number 6. Actually, number 7 for Austin Hill. This is his 2nd stage win of the year. He won a stage at Daytona in the season opener as well, if I'm not mistaken. I will fact check that real quick, but I think he did win a stage at Daytona. So I believe that is his 7th playoff point already of the young season. Check the standings real quick. Yep, that is stage win number 2 for Austin Hill. Had that correct. And of course, winning the season opener would have been 5 playoff points, so maybe Austin Hill could steal this one. Justin Allgaier having a penalty. Gonna have to come from the tail end of the field. Chandler Smith really started fading on that long run at the end of stage 2. They're gonna have to make some major adjustment changes to his race car. Try to get it back into this. Kyle Busch slowly creeping forward. He hasn't led yet today, but finished 3rd at the end of the stage. He was battling for 2nd there with Brandon Jones before that spinning caution came out for Raja Carruth. That was our 4th yellow of the day today. And again, this ends stage 2 under the caution period, and we'll have pit stops on the other side of Fox's commercial break. We'll stay right here for the time being. Dale Campbell, welcome into the stream also. Austin Hill won a stage. Yeah, I thought he won stage 1 because he came from the back to the front in that race to win the first stage. Very impressive. After qualifying on the pole before, he definitely had the strongest car that weekend. Without a doubt. It reminded me of the DEI days, honestly. The only difference was he was well faster than Sheldon Creed, his teammate, that weekend. It was all Austin Hill. Put on a clinic. I mean, he basically, in my opinion, proved why super speedway racing is a style of racing that is not only different from any other, which we all know, but it does take skill to get the job done there, because he's won 3 of those in the last, at that time, calendar year at this point. And just passing as many cars as he did that day and as easily, yes, he had the car to get it done, but he also was able to manipulate the draft at the right time to take the runs to get to the lead, when to side draft, not throwing some, stupid blocks throughout the course of the race. He did in stage 1, and he kind of got cut or break, and he learned his lesson from it, and he even stated, that he made a mistake there, and Allgaier gave him a lot of slack for it, and was going to give more room going forward. He did, and he was still able to get the job done at the end of the day, so. Maybe it wasn't a perfect race from a driving standpoint, but when he needed to at times, he was able to do the things right when he absolutely needed to the most, especially at the end, obviously, when the race was on the line, and was able to get the win. So Sammy Smith and Sam Mayer end up finishing in the top 5. 18, 19 years old. Wow. So Kevin Harvick was 130 pounds in high school. Very light. He was a lightweight in wrestling.
I think I've seen it before in the garage, actually, a couple times. Pit stop It's underway, Josh. Here they are.
Should have let you guys listen to that.
Brandon Jones been really good here, still searching for that first win. Quietly moved his way up to second. He's been really good, feels good about the back of that car today, but he's a little tight through the center. They're going to make an adjustment to help him out as far as the 10 of Kyle Busch. Ongoing process of getting that car where they need it. They're going to make a track bar adjustment, air pressure adjustment to see if they can set him up for this final stage, Regan.
Sandy Smith in the 18 car fires off, runs good, but needs help on the exit as the run goes on. That's the biggest issue for that car, but he wants them to fix the 21 car of Austin Hill. That race car has been good all day long, especially on that most recent restart. He loved how it was on the old tires. A little too much chatter when he moves up the racetrack, though.
Austin Hill's pit crew has been dominant so far today. Another clean stop to win him the race off pit road for the second time. 21 spots gained on pit road for Josh Berry as he went fuel only. Remember, he spun at the end of the last stage, so he was down a set of tires compared to the rest of the field. So he'll get his track position back, but now he's going to be on older tires. 3 spots gained for Riley Herbst, 3 spots lost for Brandon Jones. A few other drivers lost 3 spots on pit road in the top 10 as well, one of which was Sammy Smith. I believe Sam Mayer also lost a few positions there. I was 150, but I'm also 6'4", so I was a beanpole.
Ryan, go to channel 2. We had to go to channel 2. We're on to channel 1.
Trying to queue up Brandon Jones right now.
Alexander up in the Fox booth. You got me?
Gotcha, buddy. What's going on?
Man, well, you put on a really good show coming all the way from the back. Had a little bit of issues on pit road before the race, but that Menards car is looking really good. Tell us a little bit what you're thinking.
We are ripping for sure, man. It's been fun. Enjoyed driving this Chevy Camaro to the front here today. Got some guests from Joplin, so that's pretty cool. Putting on a show for those guys. And just need to finish, man. We've been really fast these first 2 races. Haven't been able to finish and show it. So hopefully today is the turnaround point for that. We got a Chevy that can win the race.
All right, sounds good. Well, keep doing what you're doing. Best of luck to you.
Appreciate it, brother.
5 career wins for Brandon Jones.
So that'll take us to our next break. So you're watching the Alsco Uniforms 300 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, again live here on KRC. Be sure to like, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We'll take you with Stage 3 when we come back on the other side. Got 88 likes right now, nearly 200 people watching this Xfinity race live stream on the channel. So again, be sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. We are very close to making this the most watched Xfinity Series live commentary stream of the young season. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Of course, last week's race affected due to weather. At the end of Stage 2 this season during the live commentary streams, going to be showing off some die-casts throughout the course of the year. I did not show off any during the Truck Series race last night because there was a caution at the end of Stage 2, kind of similar to today, and for whatever reason I ended up not showing it. So I have 2 die-casts for you guys for today's race specifically. They're both NASCAR Busch Series cars at the time, of course, now NASCAR Xfinity Series. We'll start off with probably the most popular one. It's going to be a 1998 AC Delco number 3, Dale Earnhardt Jr. race car, won the Xfinity Series championship this season. This was his first of back-to-back titles in the late 90s. So, classic, paint scheme right here. And, it's one as far as probably Busch Series paint schemes go, pretty iconic. Obviously, anytime you have the number 3, it's going to be iconic, but Dale Earnhardt Jr., driving it, obviously never drove the 3 car in his Cup career, but oftentimes ran it in the Xfinity Series side of things. Had a pretty successful, obviously, like I mentioned, Xfinity career, won back-to-back titles. So there's that car. The second one, another Busch Series car. I believe this is from 2006, if I remember correctly, from when I bought this. 2006? No, it is not. Sorry, it is not 2006. 2004, and it is a Greg Biffle number 60 Charter paint scheme. For any longer viewers of the channel, we ran this race car in the NASCAR 05 Let's Play that we did for the Busch Series. Did a season championship in this car. And I was a Greg Biffle fan growing up, so I had to get this car. Former Busch Series champion as well. Not in 2004 necessarily when this diecast had taken place, but this was always my favorite diecast when he was running some Xfinity races offhand throughout his NASCAR career. So those are the 2 diecasts today, and we'll have another one tomorrow during the Cup race at the end of Stage 2 as well. Kyle Busch gonna open up a can of whoopings. Oh, jeez. Are those Bobby Boucher's words of endearment? They will be going green this time by Kyle Busch going to be on the outside of the front row in the restart. Austin Hill electing the bottom. We have seen the outside be elected a couple of times today. Actually, pretty much the control car is elected the outside every time, but I should say the inside front row car has gotten the lead twice, but the only driver to do it both times it was Justin Allgaier. Austin Hill going to try to get to the lead from the bottom. He'll be the control car, which may help him a little bit more, but we'll see. Kyle Busch gets a better push on that outside lane with Josh Berry behind him. May be able to get it done, although it's going to be tough for Berry to take off because remember, he'll be on older tires. Ran 12 laps on those tires before the end of the last stage, so that's how many laps older his are versus the rest of the field that pitted. 4 tires during the stage break. Again, was fuel only for Berry. Green flag going to be back in the air. Pretty good launch by both cars on the front row. Kyle Busch into turns 1 and 2, trying to take his first lead of the day. Chandler Smith going 3 wide to get up to third underneath Herbst and Berry. Quickly to the outside of the backstretch as he found a little bit of a gap in front of the 8 car. He's going to maybe try to go up the middle for the race lead. That lane closed off. Now decides to go to the bottom with Austin Hill instead. All over the back of him and now split 3 wide for the lead. It's a colleague sandwich off turn 4. Kyle Busch will lead his first lap of the race at the start-finish line. Cut right back down to the bottom in front of his teammate Chandler Smith, who also gets by the 21 of Hill. And he'll have to stay in line behind Busch for at least another straightaway. Colleague Racing 1-2 at the front of the field right now. Kyle Busch, Chandler Smith. And of course, Chandler Smith raced for Kyle Busch a couple seasons full-time in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. So these two are fairly used to being teammates for a couple races this season. What's old is new again for Chandler Smith. Josh Berry falling back on those older tires. A lot of cars freight training him as he's down on the bottom, giving up a lot of space on the top. Chandler Smith, when he went to the bottom to try to get underneath Kyle Busch, gave the outside open for both Brandon Jones and Austin Hill to try to work their way alongside of Smith. If they battle hard enough, it may allow Kyle Busch to slowly pull away. Although it's a pretty tight gap right now within the top 5 cars still, 3 to 4 laps after the restart. Smith is a lot better in turns 1 and 2 than what he is in 3 and 4. It seems like 3 and 4, that's where Hill and Jones are able to get alongside of him, but in turns 1 and 2, Smith is able to clear by the time they get to the back straightaway to hold on. Knowing that, now he'll change his lane to the middle in turns 3 and 4. Jones still goes to the outside, but Austin Hill down on the white line trying to sneak to the inside of the 16, but was unable to do so. Chandler Smith carried that momentum that he ran in that middle lane through 3 and 4, higher than race leader Kyle Busch as well through the corner, and he will take the race lead away from his teammate and former Truck Series team owner. Chandler Smith back out in front now for the 3rd different time in today's race. Kyle Busch was unable to pull away once getting to the lead on this restart for a handful of laps. Austin Hill in the 21 car right in line behind him still. Busch, after running the outside, has a run through the tri-oval down into turns 1 and 2. He'll go back to the outside lane again. Not all the way up near the wall like he was in 3 and 4, though, more so in that middle groove. Don't really see cars fanning out all the way to the wall until we get later into the run as the tires really start to fall off. Just over halfway through this race, 103 laps complete at the line, 98 laps. Make that 97 laps still to go. Justin Allgaier trying to work his way back through the field after having that penalty for going down below the white line in the tri-oval before getting to the start-finish line on the last restart of Stage 2 after the Josh Berry spin. Berry holding on pretty well on old tires for now, at least. He's still in 5th place. He lost a couple spots initially there, but settling himself in. Still 1.2 seconds off the lead. A lot of it is probably because of how much Sam Mayer, Riley Herbst, and Sammy Smith are all battling each other behind him, which has allowed Josh Berry to put himself about a half a second of a gap between the 98-1 and 18 cars behind him. Side-by-side commercial break for Fox. We'll continue our coverage right now. Kyle Busch has fallen back about 0.8 of a second now from Chandler Smith, who's trying to get away. Smith really started to fail, though, on the longer run in Stage 2. It'll be interesting to see if that will be the case again this time. And it was Austin Hill, the 21, who propelled himself on older tires as that stage went on to win Stage 2 the last time around. Hill's still in 3rd, and he's only 1 second off the lead for right now. All Chevys inside the top 6th, and the highest running Ford is in 7th of Herbst, and the highest Toyota in the running order of Sammy Smith is in 10th. They're the only Ford and Toyota drivers in the entire top 10, as Allgaier's back up to 10th place, just past Cole Custer moments ago. And now currently side by side with Daniel Hemrick for 9th. Hemrick not up there with his colleague teammates throughout the course, but again, he is also nursing an injury sustained while working out the Thursday before the Xfinity Series opener at Daytona. He injured himself, but has not missed a race in that 11 car. Just trying to get consistent runs, and hopefully when he gets back to 100%, he can end up running competitively on a regular basis. Notably, he won the championship a couple seasons ago in 2021 for the Xfinity Series. That's his only career Xfinity win, was in that championship finale at Phoenix. Went winless last season, qualified for the playoffs, but was unable to get the win. John Hunter Nemechek, somebody to look out for as well. Remember, he won Stage 1, had to go backwards, as he ended up making a pit stop towards the end of Stage 2 when nobody else did. So he lost all of his track position. They had to put scuffs on to make sure they weren't going to use an extra set of tires, so he didn't have to do what Barry did at the end of this stage, which was stay out, or I should say pit for fuel only and not take tires. He was able to take tires. Now he's worked his way back up to 13th. He's about 4.5 seconds off the leaders, but he looked like he had the dominant car in the very early going, so if he can get back up there, we get a couple late race cautions, I think John Hunter Nemechek could be in contention for the win. He has still led the most laps in today's race as well. Nemechek has led 45. Next closest is Chandler Smith with 35 laps led and counting as of right now, as he's now a full second ahead of his teammate Kyle Busch. All 4 Junior Motorsports Chevrolets running in the top 10 in the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th place positions. For any JRM fans out there, my pick to win was Justin Allgaier. Mentioned that he has had to come from the back. And so he has worked himself up through the field a little bit quicker than John Hunter. Haven't talked much about him, and Tyler Reddick is in this race as far as another Cup regular goes, and he's been outside the top 10 most of the day. He's currently in 15th place. He is battling for 14th with Parker Kligerman as they go back and forth for position. Mayer battling his teammate Mayer for 5th. Josh Berry has moved himself back up to 4th as it seems like Jones is starting to go backwards, battling a really loose race car. You can see him bobbling around a lot for those of you watching on FS1. He's trying to work himself into that outside lane already, probably unable to grip up through the bumps on the bottom with how loose the car is. So up on the outside lane near the wall, but you can really see the tail of his car really starting to come around on him, in the center off is where it seems to be the most loose. Allgaier to 7th. He passed Riley Herbst during the commercial break and now is going to try to make a pass on his teammate Brandon Jones, as his teammates just in front of him did moments ago. Josh Berry up near the wall on the outside as well, trying to put some time on Sam Mayer, but Mayer not going away anywhere. Allgaier will make an easy pass on Jones through 3 and 4 and rockets forward and now quickly pulling away from the 9 car. Fastest cars on the racetrack that last lap, both running 31.6s, are the 2 leaders of Chandler Smith and Kyle Busch. And now Busch about a tenth quicker than Chandler Smith that last lap. Be interesting if he could consistently be able to do that. Everybody will have to pit one more time in this race before the finish. Fuel window 59 to 61 laps, so the window to make it on field to the end of the race will open in about another 26 laps or so. May see some drivers pit right away. I would not be surprised if, say, Josh Berry was the first car to pit road, knowing that he has older tires than everybody else, so he has the same amount of fuel in the car. John Hunter Nemechek passing Sammy Smith and Daniel Hemrick for positions. He'll move himself up to 9th, getting 2 cars in 1 lap. Hemrick going to lose a spot also to Sammy Smith. Now he drops outside of the top 10 to 11th. Brandon Jones about to lose another spot to Riley Herbst, and Nemechek quickly closing right behind those 2 Chevys in front of him. Nemechek was 6.5 seconds off the lead before the last commercial break for Fox. Interval-wise, he's about 5.4 seconds off the lead now, and I think the reason he didn't have a faster lap than the Kaulig cars at the front of the field is because he's in traffic. He is running 31.9s, which he is the only other driver running in the 31.9 or below second lap barrier that is not in the top 5. So he, by speed reason, should be able to get by the 98 and the 8 here fairly soon, as Justin Allgaier just did, and now he's looking for a quick pass on Sam Mayer for 4th place. Allgaier within about 3.7 seconds off the race lead. Still showing he's got a fast race car. Had to give up the lead with the penalty he had on a late restart at the end of stage 2. Nemechek on his comeback simultaneously for a separate reason. I'm not sure if these teams have 1 set of tires left or 2 and they were just trying to save an extra set. They've only had to pit for 2 sets of tires so far in the race today. So I'd probably lean towards them likely having at least 4 sets. I know they had 4 at Auto Club last week, though that track has a lot more wear than this one, but that was also a 300-mile race, which is equal in length to this race today. Hanover Race, thanks for tuning in. Cole Custer, Sheldon Creed on track battling for 13th. Custer making a pass. He's been outside the top 10 all day today. He had to start at the tail end of the field. He's gotten to the top 10 at times. It just hasn't had the same speed he had at Auto Club last week, where he won the first 2 stages of the race before blowing a right front tire on a restart in the final stage and compacting the outside wall, taking him out of a shot at a good finish. And obviously a shot to win, as he had one of the fastest cars all day, if not the fastest, through the first 2/3. Still ended up leading the most laps, but at the end, as mentioned already, it was John Hunter Nemechek who was able to capitalize on that mistake from the 00 team, and he was able to get his first win in the early season. Kyle Busch still somewhat close to the lead. Going to commercial break right now. And right as we went to break, I think Chandler Smith might have had a moment, because he went from about 1.2 seconds ahead to now just 0.8 of a second ahead of Busch, and Busch was about 0.3 of a second faster that last lap than Chandler Smith. Smith had a slower lap than anybody else inside the top 8 that last lap, which would lead me to believe that something happened there. Maybe a lap car got in the way, whatever the case was. He lost time. And now, Kyle Busch another 0.2 quicker the following lap. He ran a 31.9. He was the only driver in the field to run in the 31-second lap barrier that last lap. Busch's fastest lap of this entire race has come during this green flag run at the start of stage 3. Of course, probably in those early laps when he was leading and had the clean air for the first time. But Chandler Smith's times are definitely starting to fall off just a little bit. And Kyle Busch may have a good chance to get back to the lead. Smith was starting to fade on that last green flag run at the end of stage 2. That's why he finished 6th at the end of the stage, despite leading more laps than any other driver in stage 2 alone. Qualified on the pole today. Should be a good indicator that a driver's got some pretty good short run speed, but definitely affecting him on the long run. We've only had 4 cautions so far today, and 2 of them were stage breaks, so we haven't had many. Well, we had a spin leading into a stage break on the final lap of stage 2, but we would have had that caution regardless of the fact that about another lap or so. Busch three-peat, potentially. He's got a fast car for the Cup race as well. He was outside the top 10 in practice, but he ended up qualifying, I think, 7th for tomorrow's race. Made a lot of adjustment changes throughout his practice session as well. Have to expect him to have some speed on an intermediate track again this weekend after the speed he showed last week with getting the win at Auto Club. And the speed that Reddick had on the intermediate tracks, as well as road courses for most of last year as well. 0.6 of a second is the difference between P1 and P2. About a 0.7 of a second difference still between positions 2 and 3, Kyle Busch, Austin Hill. And Allgaier still sitting right behind Sam Mayer, has not been able to get around him yet. They're just over 3 seconds off the lead. And Nemechek, who was able to close that gap down to just less than 5.5 seconds moments ago, is stalled out in 8th, and now he has fallen back to 6.7 seconds off the lead. Kyle Busch another 10th quicker than Chandler Smith that last lap, and it's down to a 0.5 second difference between 1st and 2nd. Still getting through some cars at the very tail end of the field right now as well. 53 car going another lap down. Got 28 cars on the lead lap. And Ryan Ellis, who's the last car on the lead lap, is about to go lap down here very, very shortly. Allgaier going 3 wide. There's a lap car on the outside, which may have held Sam Mayer up. That allowed for the 7 to get underneath the 1. This may be his opportunity to get to 4th. Finally had that door creak open, and he's going to slam it shut as Allgaier will make the pass for 4th place through turns 1 and 2 on Mayer. He is now the highest running junior motorsports Chevrolet in the race. Kyle Busch working his way up to the outside, up near the wall in turns 3 and 4. He's been one of the drivers to go there earlier in the run. Him and Josh Berry, I've noticed, are the 2 drivers that tend to work their way all the way to the outside lane quicker into the run than some of the other drivers. Busch is making up some ground with it, though. Just consistently about a 10th quicker or 2 a lap than Chandler Smith, and from that 1.3 second deficit at the line this time, still about 0.6 of a second back. Busch is going to lose a little bit of time off turn 4, it looked like there. Justin Allgaier, after making that pass on Mayer, went from 3 seconds off the lead to quickly 2.5. Mayer might have been holding him up for a little bit as he was within about a 10th or 2 seconds behind him for quite a while. Now after making that pass, he's starting to creep in on the top 4 just a bit more. When Nemechek stalled out, he wasn't stalled out directly behind Herbst because he's got about a full second between himself and the 98 car. It seems like he's just faded. He had to pass a lot more cars than Allgaier on this restart, though, too. May have used his tires up getting through the field to where he is now and wasn't able to get himself forward any further. So Chandler Smith moving his line up a little bit in turns 1 and 2 towards the middle, and that's allowed him to start gapping Kyle Busch once again. Busch maybe not catching the lap cars as much, or as better, I guess, with trying to run that outside lane up near the wall. Showing a replay of what might have happened further back in the top 10. It looked like Sheldon Creed and Parker Kligerman made some contact off turn 2 a few laps ago, battling for 12th. Austin Hill running down Kyle Busch. Busch is really, with the flip of a switch, started to fade during this long run. He had ran down Chandler Smith within a half a second of the lead, and I think he is not running as well in the top because all the lap cars that are trying to stay out of the way of the leader are going to that outside lane near the wall where Busch is running, and that is putting a lot of dirty air in the nose of his car. Because now he's got the 51 of Jeremy Clements there. He has to move down to the bottom. Hill's already passed him for second, though, so it's a little too late. Try to battle back. He's got to pick up a couple car lengths to be able to try to do so. Chandler Smith going to split it 3 wide up the middle. He's got a lot of lap traffic around him right now. The 92 and the 4 will go a lap down. And now looking to the outside of the 91 car as well. Justin Allgaier going to get by Kyle Busch now for third place, 2 seconds off the lead. Kyle Busch is not handling well all of a sudden as of just a few laps ago. He is definitely slipping away. Chandler Smith, though, still hanging on pretty well on the long run this time around. He's gapped Austin Hill to about 1.7 seconds. At last lap, he was almost a half a tenth quicker than Hill. .67 laps left, so the fuel window to make it to the end of this race will open in about another 6 laps or so, and I would not be shocked if Kyle Busch is one of the first cars to pick, considering how badly his car has faded on this long run. He's almost 3 seconds off the lead already. It was just about 4 or 5 laps ago. He was within a half a second. 11 all the way. Thanks for tuning in. Got just over 200 people watching. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Helps me out a ton with these streams. It allows me to continue on doing these streams for the Truck Xfinity and Cup Series every race weekend. We'll be live for all next week at Phoenix with the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. And, of course, tomorrow on the Cup side as well at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll start our live stream as they'll be racing at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the running to the Pennzoil 400. Joey Logano qualified on the pole for that race earlier on this afternoon. And he'll be leading the field of the green in the Pennzoil car in the self-sponsored race. Him and Blaney looking really quick earlier today. Once again, both cars off to a strong start for speed purposes this year, especially Logano. Honestly, the 2 quickest guys out of the gates so far this season seem to be Joey Logano and Kyle Busch. Busch seemed to be pretty good, qualified top 10 again today as well, and obviously winning the truck race last night. Competing well in this Xfinity race today, has led a couple different times, currently in 4th right now, but is fading compared to the top 3 during this long green flag run. Sam Mayer has now caught him and looking to make a pass on Busch for position as well. Justin Allgaier moving himself to 2nd this lap, making a pass on Austin Hill. Mayer does clear the number 10 car for 5th. So it sounds like Kyle Busch tight through the center of turns 3 and 4 is the main issue he is dealing with right now. Justin Allgaier is pretty even lap time wise compared to Chandler Smith. Now for drivers that are going to try to split this stage in half, we went green with just over 100 laps to go in this race when we started the final stage. So right around 55 or so laps to go would be about the halfway mark. And we're probably going to be able to see drivers stretch it on fuel as far as around 45 or so laps to go before having to pit also. 40 to 45 to go. Probably be about as far as they can make it. They've gone 45 laps so far, but I think that's also counting a couple caution laps that we ran. You guys will get to listen into those pit reports during the green flag stops when they take place. As usual, it'll be the first set of green flag stops in the race today. Kind of similar to the truck race last night where the first 2 stages are too short. So they didn't have to make a green flag stop then, but they are going to have to make a green flag stop soon. And Kyle Busch is going to be on his way in. He'll be the first. He might miss pit road. He does. Kyle Busch misses the pits.
So we'll see what they can do. Josh?
Yeah, Kyle Busch just came over the radio before he came into pit saying he's getting really, really tight, especially towards the end of that run, so they need a little something to help him out.
By being the first to pit, getting those fresh tires first, what can that do for you here?
Chandler Smith is in from the lead also.
Allgaier stays out. So you'll see that a lot. You know, the first guy to pit in the top 5 or so might drag other guys in.
Let's get Smith on Smith. Regan.
I don't believe Kyle Busch missed the pits. I didn't realize how far out the orange cone was, but he definitely had a wider entrance.
All day long, keeping up with the racetrack. That's one thing he's been very pleased with. This run, quiet on the radio. He's told to focus on looking out front and worried about what he needed to do there. He has been quiet since then.
All right, keeping in mind, Kyle Busch was 6 seconds behind Chandler Smith when he came to pit road. So we'll see how all of this cycles out. And 1 lap later, here comes Justin Allgaier, Austin Hill, Ryan Sieg also in that mix, making a pit stop scheduled under green, Regan.
Adam, Justin Allgaier, that race car is just loose in tight in the center and loose off right now. He's been doing a great job all day of conserving tires and telling the team that he was conserving tires to have a little speed at the end of runs. Needs to continue doing that. And Austin Hill in the 21, too loose on the throttle. That's the first time he's mentioned that all day long, meaning the back wants to step out when he gets on the gas pedal to exit the corners.
Allgaier was 1.6 seconds behind Chandler Smith when they cycled to pit road. We'll continue to follow the progress there. More green flag pit stops, Josh.
Yep, and the one of Sam Mayer is coming in. He said that car is pretty good, just a little snug on the bottom, so they give him 4 tires, fuel, and make a track bar adjustment.
And just behind him, Sammy Smith sideways coming in. This is a young driver making a green flag pit stop, inexperienced.
Yeah, really lucky that he got it stopped before he got to the 1 box because they were full over the wall doing their stop. Really lucky that nothing happened there.
More pit stops, Regan.
Adam, the 98 of Riley Herbst. That race car is tight early on in the day. They've worked on it all day long. It continues to get better to the point now where it's the best it's been all day long. Really likes the long run speed. Josh?
Yeah, the 8 of Josh Berry coming in. He said he feels pretty good about that car. Not sure about the balance. He said he just needs some tires when he does come in, guys.
Yeah, we talk about green flag cycles and then who's going to get the pit road well, who's going to have good pit
Berry
stops.
sliding wide. He's coming in hot also.
Advantage today, and it paid off for Austin Hill. He's actually going to cycle in front of the 16, not by much, but they closed the gap and surpassed him, which is huge for the 21 group.
Yeah, I mean, Austin Hill, a driver that's won here twice in the Craftsman Truck Series, and I mean, so much experience for him, and you got to believe experience matters. And you talk about location on the pit lane, and we got to report Sammy Smith has been penalized. I'm assuming he was probably too fast entering, right? I mean, it had to be it was a penalty. I didn't get a call on exactly what the penalty was, but Sammy Smith will have the pass-through penalty here as Josh Berry makes his stop. So we're looking at the scoring pylon. Anthony Alfredo yet to come down and get his service, and then it will all cycle through to Austin Hill as the new race leader with 55 laps to go. Brett Moffitt in the 25. Talk about being aggressive coming in. Watch Josh Berry.
He did a really good job of getting it loaded up, and this is a tough pit road to get on. Your stuff is worn out. The wind's pushing you off of 4, and you're trying to push it as far as you can until you get on the brakes. And he did a good job of getting it slowed down. But this is going to be a heck of a race. But Chandler Smith just went up and won by the 21.
Yeah, he did. Chandler Smith lost the lead in a cycle of green flag pit stops, but he has been able to get back by Austin Hill. The 16 is back on point.
He made that look easy, too. I mean, he was maybe just under a second behind the 21 when they cycled, and he just drove up and straight past Austin Hill. So we've seen good fire-off speed on the 16 all day, and it seems to carry over to the green flag stops. But Kyle Busch cut it down. He's just over 2 seconds behind. Allgaier lost a little bit of ground, but we'll see where this long run goes. Still a long ways to go, 53 laps to the end. If it runs green, that's a long time on your tires. So tire management is still very important.
So 52 laps to go at the line. As you heard, Austin Hill had cycled off of pit road with the race lead on Chandler Smith. And then Smith, a couple laps after the fact through lap traffic, was able to retake the race lead away from Austin Hill. Kyle Busch is up to third. He is about 2.1 seconds off the lead. And Justin Allgaier, who was initially in second, has now fallen all the way back to fourth. Kyle Busch was actually right around Sam Mayer. He's a full 5 seconds ahead of him now. And Busch is just 2.1 seconds off the lead. But it'll be interesting if his car is going to handle well in the long run, because it definitely struggled once he got into the final 10 to 15 laps of the last tire stint. Chandler Smith is able to pull himself out ahead just a little bit more over Austin Hill. About a half a second difference. Who will manage their tires better over the course of this run if it does stay green to the end as well? That could definitely dictate who is going to win this race. Like to think it's pretty much down to the top 4 as long as this stays green to the finish. Both Hill and Smith run in the bottom lane, both ends of the racetrack, all the way to the white line, and both had lap cars that are outside off the exit of turn 2 there, which held them up a tad. Only 13 cars on the lead lap. We finished the truck race last night with just 11 trucks on the lead lap. The final stage of the truck race went caution-free. So far, this Xfinity Series final stage has been caution-free as well. Final stage, though, last night in the Truck Series, 74 laps. This one, 107, so they're going to have to go... 105, but they're going to have to... I have my math wrong here. 110, because it was 45 laps in each of the first 2 stages of the race. So they've definitely got a little bit of a ways to go yet. About 3/4 of the way home. So we have 49 laps remaining. Appreciate everybody tuning in this afternoon. We've got just over 200 people watching this NASCAR Xfinity Series race live stream for the Alsco Uniforms 300. Appreciate not only all of you watching, be sure to hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as well. Got a side-by-side commercial break right now on FS1, but we will keep our coverage going here during the break. Kyle Busch will lose. Yeah, I was going to say he's losing a little bit more time. His last couple laps, he caught up to a lot of lap traffic all of a sudden off turn 2 this lap. He had a car in the top and the bottom right in front of him, and then another car in the bottom in front of the first car that was initially in front of him, and now he's got a plethora of cars coming up again here. And it seems like Austin Hill's getting held up in that said lap traffic, and Busch is now just a second behind Hill, but Chandler Smith has gapped Austin Hill to a full 1.6 second difference now between first and second. Justin Allgaier, who looked really fast in the middle of the last run, is about 4 seconds off the race lead. About 2.5 back of Austin Hill and a full second back of Kyle Busch for third. Lap times... That last lap by Austin Hill was maybe a 10th quicker than Chandler Smith. 31.6 versus a 31.7 for Smith. Kyle Busch was a 32.1. And Justin Allgaier actually even quicker than both, really the top 3 in front of him. He ran a 31.649. About a half a 10th quicker than Austin Hill and a full 10th quicker than Chandler Smith. But it's all depending on when they catch the lap traffic and where they catch them on a lap-by-lap basis, because then this lap timing in at the line, it looked like Chandler Smith was the quickest of the top 4, and he was a full 0.3 of a second ahead of Justin Allgaier. So navigating through lap traffic and trying to manage your tires on this long green flag run to the checker, if it continues to stay green, is going to be the big difference. A lot of heavy lap traffic right around Kyle Busch and Justin Allgaier again. Busch is now 4 seconds off the lead, and he's got Justin Allgaier breathing down his neck for third now. I think Brandon Jones might have had a pit road penalty of some sort, because he was 10th place when the green flag stop started, and now he's a lap down in 28th. Actually, he is 2 laps down in 28th. Tough break for Brandon Jones, who's had a rough start to this season with already 2 finishes outside the top 10, maybe looking for a 3rd straight to start the year. He didn't start off this race too well, but then got himself as high as 2nd at one point towards the end of Stage 2. Ended up finishing 2nd at the end of Stage 2, in fact. Just in front of Kyle Busch at the time. But has lost a lot of track position through the green flag stops. Then we heard that Sammy Smith had spun out trying to make his way to pit road, so he is now lapped down to 20th. But yeah, just over 200 people watching. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in. Only the 3rd Xfinity live commentary stream of the year, but this is the highest viewed so far, so greatly appreciate you guys tuning in every given week for all 3 series. Samuel Sander, thanks for tuning in. Yep, Justin Allgaier making a pass on Kyle Busch now for 3rd place through turns 1 and 2. All clear off the exit of the corner. Busch getting a carry of momentum off the outside. But he's going to remain on the outside. He's not going to try to crisscross on Justin Allgaier. He's going to be patient here, trying to take care of his tires. Still 41 laps to go. I think these teams still have one more set of tires left, so if we were to get a caution, we're more than likely going to see everybody hit pit road unless we get very, very close to the end before a potential yellow. Chandler Smith is pulled away down to a 2.2 second lead over Austin Hill. But is Austin Hill saving enough to try to run him down in the back half of the run, or is Smith just setting off into the sunset for good? Still consistently in the 31-second lap barrier, or 32.1. The last lap, Hill about a 10th quicker. Still just 13 cars on the lead lap. We'll make that 12. Chandler Smith to the inside of Tyler Reddick to put the 24 car of Reddick a lap down. Nope, not quite. Gonna have to slide back in line behind him. Reddick's gonna fight for this. Trying to keep his car in the lead lap if we do get a late race yellow, especially with the lack of cars on the lead lap. I mean, he'd restart in the first 7 rows. Definitely have a shot at a top 10 at the very least. Although he hasn't really been in the top 10 all throughout the course of the day, the speed has not been there for that Sam Hunt Racing number 24 car. Get my picks for tomorrow? Oh, yeah. Not during the race, though. I'll have to... I was watching practice and qualifying earlier, so I've done some mental studying, but I haven't looked at like any stats on Racing Reference yet today. Usually do that the morning of. I might get to it tonight, though. This race is going to end a lot sooner than last week's race with the rain delay going on and that ending a little later in the evening hour, even though the race didn't actually start till Sunday. Sammy Smith just kind of kissed the inside pit wall when he did slide. Good thing he didn't hit any of the tires that were laying on that pit wall. The 92 crew that was waiting for his car to come onto pit road, and the one of Sam Mayer was already in his box getting his service, so that's another good thing he didn't slide into them also. He wasn't the only driver that was struggling trying to get into the pits. We saw Kyle Busch and Josh Berry struggle, and they barely made it into pit road. Smith was able to make it in, but obviously spun and ended up with a pit road speeding penalty as a result of it. That was a quick commercial, by the way. They cut the commercial for like 2 laps, and now they're back. 35 laps to go. 2.6 second difference now between first and second. Chandler Smith still about a 10th quicker or so a lap than Austin Hill. Not much, but it's obviously good enough to grow that lead gradually over the course of the run. He still hasn't lapped Tyler Reddick yet. Reddick continues to stay in front of him. Both running the bottom lane through 3 and 4. And that's going to cost Chandler Smith just a tad. Chandler knows he can't use his tires up too much just trying to put Reddick a lap down, because Reddick is running at least a decent enough pace. And there's enough of a lead built out right now for Chandler Smith. He's not losing a whole lot of momentum. Finally going to be able to clear him off turn 4, and this time for good. Reddick doesn't have enough of a run off the outside lane to try to get back at him into the tri-oval either, so we're down to just 12 cars on the lead lap. Parker Kligerman's last car on the lead lap now, but he is still 26 seconds off the lead, and the lap time by Smith that last lap was a 32.0, so about another 6 seconds interval-wise to catch up to Kligerman. It's going to be a little bit yet. 33 laps to go. Smith rounding out the bottom lane still currently as well. Chandler Smith again in the lead. Austin Hill second. Justin Allgaier third. Kyle Busch is in fourth. Sam Mayer rounds out the top 5. Late in this Las Vegas Xfinity Series race. Closest battle right now inside the top 10 looks to be for about 6 between Josh Berry and Riley Herbst. Within a half a second of each other. But outside of that, that and then the battle for 9th between Daniel Hemrick and Sheldon Creed, they're within about a full second of each other. About 2/10 of a second of each other. It's the only drivers within a full second of each other battling for position on the racetrack of those on the lead lap. This will be the third different winner in the first 3 Xfinity races if Chandler Smith can hold on to win. And all Xfinity regulars to win the first 3 races of the year as well. There's been at least one Cup Series regular to hop down to run an Xfinity race in every race this season. Last week it was Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, and Austin Dillon. This week it's Tyler Reddick again along with Kyle Busch. And then the first week of the season, Justin Haley ran the season opener at Daytona for Kaulig Racing in the 10 car. So Kaulig Racing has had 3 different Cup drivers, all in the Chevy camp from the Cup Series, running their number 10 car. So it'll be interesting. I think Kyle Busch is supposed to run that car at Phoenix next week as well, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Busch will be back in the Xfinity Series next week.
Turned a successful business into a wonderful racing operation. Chris Rice has worked really hard to lead the bunch, and here they are today in position for another victory. Got 12 cars on the lead lap. Reddick went a lap down. He was 13th. Last car now scored on the lead lap is Parker Kligerman. Second place, Austin Hill. Won the season opener at Daytona. 6th last week in Fontana. And in line for his best Vegas run today. You got Justin Allgaier back there in third. It feels like this is how the race should finish, because if he finished third today, it would be the 4th consecutive race where he came home at the bottom of the podium. That's incredible.
That's, of course, dating back to the season finale in Phoenix last year, as well as the first 2 races this season.
Making his return to the Xfinity Series. 2 wins here at Vegas. Hometown boy is 4th, driving for Kaulig for the first time. Going to run that car 5 times this year.
Well, Sam Mayer's putting together another fantastic run. You know, he's been really consistent. You know, you said it at the start of the show, was really close to the win at Daytona and ended up on his lid. And you know, had a great run last week at Fontana, running second. Putting together another good run today.
You know, we felt like there'd be a lot of focus on Josh Berry this weekend because he's won here twice in the Xfinity Series. Little did we know. And in case you haven't heard, Chase Elliott broke his tibia snowboarding in Colorado yesterday. Had surgery last night. He's going to be out an indefinite amount of time. It's going to be Josh Berry who drives the 9 car this weekend for Hendrick Motorsports. So Josh Berry has had some added attention. Behind him on track in 7th, Riley Herbst. Hometown driver looking for his 3rd consecutive top 10 to begin the season. John Hunter Nemechek, successful afternoon, won the opening stage, had a loose wheel that cost him some track position, but he's looking at another top 10 and 8th. Sheldon Creed, 7th last year, 9th right now. Would be his first top 10 of the season, 2nd-year driver out of California, piloting the 2 car for Richard Childress Racing, and rounding out the top 10, Daniel Hemrick. Statistically, this is one of his better tracks. The South Point colors on board this weekend. The Gone family does such a good job of taking care of the NASCAR community when we come out here to Las Vegas. 24 to go. We'll step aside. The finish coming in Vegas. Chandler Smith trying to finish the...
We'll do the same thing here as well. Smith with a 2.8 second lead, 24 laps to go. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We've got well over 200 people watching the stream right now, but only 115 likes. Let's try to get that up to 150 before the end of the stream. Just get that up to 150. This is already the most viewed Xfinity race of the commentary season, so appreciate everybody that comes in, helps me out a ton. Of course, whether you're able to watch the race or not able to watch the race on a given weekend. We'll be back again tomorrow for the Cup Series, and of course the following week with the Xfinity Cup Series action at Phoenix next weekend as well. .8 seconds. Last lap pretty equal for the most part lap time wise of Chandler Smith versus Austin Hill. If Hill's going to have any sort of a run at Chandler Smith in these final 22 laps, he's going to have to get going very, very soon. Because he's getting to the point now where he's going to have to be about a tenth and a half quicker a lap on average to be able to catch him this late in the going. If he has been able to save anything, we'll see. And Justin Allgaier, actually, meanwhile, is about 0.8 of a second behind Chandler Smith right now. And Allgaier's last lap was a 32.3112. That was faster than the top two cars, but specifically 0.2 of a second quicker than the second place car of Austin Hill. So the race for second is still very much on. Justin Allgaier is definitely closing in on Austin Hill. And maybe if anybody's got anything for Chandler Smith, it'd be Allgaier. The problem is he's a little bit further back than Hill, and he's going to have to battle him. I'd imagine Hill's not going to go down with an easy fight. That may wear the tires off on the 7 just a little bit more also. Donald Etchison, thanks for tuning in. Jason Switzer, welcome into the stream. Also, Wendy Smith. JRI Racing. JRM cars seem off this year. Well, it's just the first few races of the season. I would say they seem off. I mean, Justin Allgaier, he was leading at one point before getting penalized earlier. I just think Chandler Smith has had the fastest car of the day. Allgaier's had great speed in that car today. Definitely had a race-winning potential car. And could still finish second here, as he's still slowly closing in on Austin Hill on a lap-by-lap basis. Hill ran a 32.404 that last lap, and Allgaier a 32.2. Chandler Smith is also starting to lose a little bit of his lead. It's a 2.4 second advantage over Austin Hill. Leading into the commercial break, it was about a 2.9 second lead. Like there was some contact on track in a battle for 7th place between John Hunter Nemechek and Riley Herbst off the exit of turn 4. They made contact with one another there. Nemechek was able to make the pass for that 7th place spot and has already put a couple tenths of a second over Herbst. They're 13.5 seconds off the lead, and Nemechek's got a full 3 seconds roughly to be able to catch Josh Berry for 6th in front of him yet. Nemechek won Stage 1 earlier today. Austin Hill won Stage 2, so despite Chandler Smith not winning a stage, not only today, but hasn't won a stage yet this season, he is going for it and trying to get that first career win in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. AJ Allmendinger's been very fast in that race car on the intermediate tracks in recent years, and Chandler Smith picking up where Allmendinger left off in the Xfinity Series with that number 16 team for Matt Collig. Allgaier working his way through the middle lanes through turns 1 and 2. Down into the bumps on the bottom near the white line is Austin Hill. Kyle Busch is still in 4th quietly, but he's a full 4 seconds behind Allgaier and a full 3 seconds ahead of Josh Berry. I think Berry actually just passed Sam Mayer for 5th place because I thought he was in 6th moments ago. So there was another pass for position, moving the 8 car into the top 5 once again in the late going. Austin Hill another half a second quicker than Chandler Smith that last lap. And it's down to a 2.1 second lead. Austin Hill with a 32.321 and Smith with a 32.744 that last lap. Down to 14 laps to go. Austin Hill trying to run down Chandler Smith, and Smith has a lot of lap traffic in front of him that seems to be costing him just a little bit of time. It is a 1.8 second lead. And there's still a lot more lap traffic where he has already picked up and put down some of them. He's going to run the bottom lane with another car behind him. Austin Hill still got about 3 lap cars between himself and the 16 yet. So all these cars that Austin Hill has in front of him, of course, the 16 is already passed. So that's the advantage Chandler Smith has. And a lot of them are already 1 lap down, so you would think that they're just going to kind of steer clear. The last car in the lead lap is still Parker Kligerman. He's not battling Custer for 11th place either. So he may just pull over and let the 16 go when he gets there, if he gets there. Still got about another 3.5 seconds interval-wise to catch him, just 12 to go. Justin Allgaier simultaneously closing in on Austin Hill as Hill has cut that lead down to still 1.9 seconds over Smith. All the top 3 running the bottom lane near the white line right now. On turns 1 and 2, into 3 and 4, Smith on the bottom. Of course, with the lap cars on the inside, I'm sure trying to get the clean air for the second and third place cars, especially, they're going to run a wider line. Hill went to the top that time through 3 and 4 with Smith on the bottom. Hill picked up quite a bit of time, and it's down to a 1.5-second lead into the tri-oval. 32.309 that last lap for Austin Hill and a 32.704. Pretty consistent with the 32.7s for Chandler Smith the last handful of laps. And Hill's been in the 32.2s, 32.3s the last few laps. Austin Hill trying to make a late charge. Maybe backing up the first part of this run just enough to be able to save his tires. And trying to go at about the 20 to go mark as well as trying to go because Justin Allgaier has closed that gap. He's only 0.4 of a second behind Hill. Best thing that can happen for Chandler Smith is if the 21 and the 7 get to battling each other before they can get to the 16. That will help him out so much in his efforts of trying to win this race. Chandler Smith did win the the Truck Series race at Las Vegas last season in the spring. Trying to win the spring Xfinity race this season. Austin Hill has closed the gap down to 0.9 of a second, and there is still 9 laps to go. Coming to 8 to go at the line this time as Smith works his way off turn 4. Chandler Smith's car is fading. We've seen the Cawley cars fade on the long runs today. Chandler didn't really fade as much during the first run of Stage 3 compared to what happened at the end of Stage 2. End of Stage 2 is him falling back like it was Kyle Busch at the beginning of this stage. Busch isn't really falling off much because his lap times have been a little bit quicker than Chandler Smith's over the last few laps because he's running in the 32.5. Smith is still running around 32.6s to 32.7s on a consistent basis. Pretty even that last lap between Chandler Smith and Austin Hill. 7 laps to go. No lap cars directly in front of Chandler Smith and no more lap cars between the top 2 on the racetrack as well. Justin Allgaier going to the outside lane trying to make a move on Austin Hill off turn 2. He's going to have a big run. Hill ran the bottom that time. If Hill tries to go for a potential block, which he does go to the bottom to protect. He's been pretty consistent with running the inside. 7 car right in line behind him. 6 laps to go now. Still a 0.9 of a second lead at the line. Allgaier going back into the middle lane again, trying to build the momentum off corner exit. He actually lost a little bit of time. Slow car off the pace will stay out of the way for the top 3 as they try to get to pit road. Couldn't tell exactly who that car was. Jeremy Clements is the next lap car, who's already a couple down of race leader Chandler Smith, right in front of him off the exit of turn 4. Austin Hill a little quicker that last lap than Chandler Smith, again by about 0.2 of a second. It is a half a second lead into turn 1 with 5 laps to go. Chandler Smith did not go all the way to the white line on the bottom that time. He arced the corner off very wide on entry into turns 1 and 2, getting by the 51 of Jeremy Clements. Now Hill going to have to get by Clements quickly. Into turns 3 and 4, he'll be able to clear him easily off the exit of the corner. Lap car may get in Justin Allgaier's way as Allgaier feeds the car up the track. He does not clear the 51, has to hold a tighter exit down to the bottom, so he loses ground from the 16 and 21. Hill another 1/10 of a second quicker that last lap than Chandler Smith. He has closed the gap down to about 4 to 5 car lengths with 3.5 laps to go. Austin Hill trying to get his second win of the young season in the first 3 races, and Chandler Smith trying to get his first to lock himself in the playoffs. Same goes for Justin Allgaier. 3 laps to go at the line. Still a half a second lead. The top 3 within 0.9 of a second after being pretty far spaced apart through this final green flag run to the finish until now. 21 down to the bottom again. Might have to move his line up a little bit as he gets closer behind the 16 because he's going to have more and more dirty air in the nose. But you'd have to imagine it's going to be tougher and tougher for him to hold the center of the corner. Hill bobbles just a little bit compared to Chandler Smith in the middle of 3 and 4 that time. That could have been costly. Smith's still a hair quicker than Smith, but not quick enough. He's got to pick up the pace a little bit more these last 2 laps. Allgaier going to go to the middle lane through turns 1 and 2. Half a lane up the bottom by the 16 of Chandler Smith. Hill rolls the inside. That gives a little more clean air to the nose of the 21, and he is there. Back bumper into turns 3 and 4. 2 laps to go. Austin Hill pins his car down to the bottom but overdrives the entrance. Chandler Smith trying to hold on to the lead. The 21 back to the gas sooner. Off turn 4. Smith goes wide. Hill to the lead. 1 lap to go. Sponsored by Credit One Bank. Austin Hill has caught Chandler Smith. Smith now playing a defense on the 7 of Justin Allgaier. Allgaier's going to get the second off of turn 2. Austin Hill has about a 4-car length lead off the exit of the corner. Allgaier with a run on the outside. He's got 1 chance to get to Hill on the back straightaway. Breaking the draft down to the inside. Allgaier goes to the bottom. The 21 to the bottom. Who wins back to the throttle off turn 4? It's going to be Austin Hill. Taking the lead, coming to the white flag. He timed it perfect, and Hill wins his second race of the season, stealing one from Chandler Smith. Unbelievable comeback from the 21 crew on that final green flag run to the finish. It took all 110 laps of the stage, but he was able to get there right at the end. Unbelievable. Austin Hill with the victory. RCR showing their strengths on both the Cup and the Xfinity side to start the season. I mean, he was about 3 seconds back with 20 laps to go. Saved enough of his tires on that final tire stint of about 50-plus laps and just slowly ran him down. The 16 went wide off of turn 4, got a bit tight it looked like, and it allowed for Austin Hill to pass and clear him coming to the white flag to get the win. First win on a non-superspeedway for Austin Hill, his 4th career Xfinity win, and 2nd in the first 3 races of 2023. We'll go through the full field finishing results after the interview with your race winner, as well as other top finishers from today's race. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Again, if you haven't done so, just over 300 people watching at the end of this one. A thriller in the closing laps as Austin Hill gets the win.
Already. One Daytona with Austin Hill, one last week on the Cup side with Kyle Busch, one today. RCR is off to a very, very good start to the 2023 season.
And what What we like for Austin Hill is how he continues to grow in the various areas of his racing craft. He's become a good road racer. We know he's good on the super speedways. He proved that at Daytona and Atlanta, and now becoming good on the intermediates.
And that's what the Xfinity Series is all about. You know, making these drivers better and being able to give them an opportunity to run high, to run low, to race for wins at the end of a race and perform under pressure situations. And this is where they learn. And Austin has definitely been getting better.
For RCR, it's their 5th Vegas win. Let's hear from the victor down to Regan.
Well, what a start to the season it has been for Austin Hill. 2 wins in 3 races. This one, extremely exciting. It comes down to the last lap. You had to run a 60-plus lap run at the end of the race there. Still had something left in the race car. How exciting did that get?
Man, I passed on one of the lap cars early in our run when the 16 got by me. I got really, really loose on entry to 3. Thought I was going to wreck it, saved it, and 16 got really far out. So I just knew I had to, not abuse the tires and try to methodically just work our way through traffic. Traffic was really tough today. You had to really paint the line down in 3 and 4. If you missed it by, it seemed like half an inch, you paid for it for the whole lap. So that's just really what I stuck to all race long, was just trying to be really disciplined down there in 3 and 4. Our 1 and 2 was okay most of the day, but entry to 3, I was struggling. The 7, you could tell he was coming out back, and he could really drive in deep and roll to the center a lot better than I could. So I saw the 16 struggling in traffic. And my spotter, Derek, was like, come on, baby, you can get it. We got 5 to go, 4 to go, 3 to go. And when I saw him get tight off of 4 there, I knew I painted the line perfectly, and I knew if I could clear him down the front stretch, I felt like once we got clean air, we could hold him off. So I can't thank everybody at RCR enough. Our Global Industrial Chevrolet was good today. I wouldn't say it was perfect. We still got some things to work on, but it feels good to win on a 1.5 miles, not just these super speedways.
Here with Chandler Smith, led 115 laps, but what happened at the end? And I saw you just talking to Kyle Busch. What did he say to you?
Yeah, and just overall, I got a little tight there at the very end, which it is what it is. That's a tough pill to swallow. There's some things I could have done inside before we started building tight, just getting my lead to be a little bit bigger, to have a bigger buffer. But all in all, I can't be too disappointed. This is my 6th start, 3rd start with colleague racing. We have a really, really fast quick-type product, Chevy Camaro. I'm just really appreciative of everybody with Matt Colley, Chris Rice, everybody Colley Racing for bringing me on board and believing in me. We're gonna win a few races this year for sure.
A lot to be proud for Chandler Smith, guys.
No doubt, Josh. Mad respect for Chandler Smith. I mean, it doesn't get the finish he wanted, but handled it.
Here's your full field unofficial results for the Alsco Uniforms 300 at Las Vegas for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Austin Hill gets the win, also won Stage 2 in this race, led just 19 laps, but gets 6 more playoff points. That's going to give him 12 playoff points through the first 3 races of the year. 2 stage wins, 2 race wins. Phenomenal start there. 0.2 of a second margin of victory over Justin Allgaier, who ended up finishing in second, also getting by Chandler Smith on the last lap of the race. Smith ended up finishing third, a half a second, just more than a half second off the race lead. Kyle Busch finished in 4th place today with 7.2 seconds was his difference off the race leaders. Also for Chandler Smith, as you just heard, led 118 laps today, over half the race, but was unable to get the victory. Got passed coming to the white flag. So again, Busch in 4th. Josh Berry ended up finishing in 5th place today. Came back from a spin. John Hunter Nemechek had a loose wheel, had to make an unscheduled stop at the end of Stage 2. He finished 6th. He also won Stage 1 in today's race, picked up a playoff point himself. Sam Mayer ended up 7th, Riley Hurst in 8th, Sheldon Creed with his first top 10 of the year finishing 9th, and Daniel Hemrick will round out the top 10. Parker Kligerman ended up 11th, Cole Custer last car in the lead lap in 12th. Tyler Reddick, first car lap down, finished in 13th. Jeb Burton ended up 14th, Joe Graff Jr. 15th, Kyle Weatherman 16th, Sammy Smith 17th. He spun coming into the pits. He was on the top 10 all day before that. Alex Obey 18th, Anthony Alfredo 19th, and Kyle Sieg rounds out the top 20. Brandon Jones ended up 2 laps down to 21st. He had a pit road penalty while running in 10th leading up to those stops and was as high as 2nd at one point on speed in today's race, but ended up fading obviously in that final stage before the pit stops, and then the pit stops really did him in. 3 straight finishes for him outside the top 10 to start the year. Brett Moffitt ends up 22nd, Kaz Gralla 23rd, Ryan Sieg 24th, Jeremy Clements 25th, Raja Karut 26th, Ryan Ellis 27th, Bailey Curry 28th, 29th was Jeffrey Earnhardt and Josh Williams 30th. Josh Malicki 31st, Greg Galding 32nd, 33rd, Brandon Poole, Patrick Emmerling 34th, Blaine Perkins 35th, Garrett Smithley 36th, Parker Retzlaff 37th, and Joey Gase rounds out the field today in 38th. Had just one driver DNF today, and that was Joey Gase. 37 drivers finished, but again, only 12 on the lead lap. No cautions in the final stage of both the truck and the Xfinity Series races this weekend. We had 6 cautions in the truck race yesterday, but only 4 in the Xfinity race today. We had a total of 7 different leaders in today's race. Again, the 16 of Chandler Smith led the most laps with 118. John Hunter Nemechek led 45 laps. Your race winner, Austin Hill, had the 3rd most laps led with 19 laps led in today's race. And with those 7 drivers that led a lap in today's race, we had a grand total of 15 lead changes with those 7 different leaders. Average race speed of 134.1 miles per hour was the average race speed as well. And the total race time from drop of the green flag to checker, 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 51 seconds. So strong start to the year for Austin Hill. And a strong start to the year for the Xfinity Series. A lot of great racing so far, once again, as you seem to expect from this series. And today they were able to keep it clean. They got a long green flag run this time all the way to the end, and ended up being a pretty climactic finish, to say the least. In those closing laps, Austin Hill coming from 3 seconds back in the final 20 laps, ran down Chandler Smith as well as Justin Allgaier, who finished just behind Hill at the checkered flag as well, was able to overcome a nearly 4-second deficit after his green flag pit stops. Appreciate everybody tuning in this afternoon. Hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as well. I'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the start of tomorrow's NASCAR Cup Series live race commentary stream. Again, that is 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow afternoon. We'll be doing this live commentary for the Cup Series, and then again next week for the Phoenix Cup and Xfinity races on Saturday and Sunday afternoons as well. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good rest and safe Saturday night. And hopefully you enjoyed today's coverage of the Alsco Uniforms 300. Have a good one, everybody.